Thanks for joining us once again. It's Even More About Nothing. I'm one of your hosts, Rafiki. To my right.
Got your boy Timmy Tonga. Catch me on Snapchat, Instagram, at Timmy Tonga. Hey.
Across the table.
I forgot Twitter too.
So we got Ace.
I'm Mookie. I'm filling out a source today, so I might be more quiet than you guys are used to. But I've been under the weather for the last 24 hours, so.
And he's kind of Batman.
Apparently I'm Batman 3.0, so there's that. But as always, we usually have a special guest, and we're joined with an extra special guest today. Talk the day one homies, the episode 0 homie, John himself.
Yeah. Woo!
Hey everybody, and much as I love my bro Caleb here, he's not Batman. I'm Batman. Just so we're clear on that.
Man, it's good to have you back. I know in communication, as we were talking, trying to figure this out, you pointed out that you were on episode 5, which like the actual number 5, and now it's actual episode number 10, even though we're putting out 11.
Right.
So
we started
5 weeks. We might have to keep something up with that, maybe multiples of 5 or something.
It's a good frequency, I think. That way it doesn't feel overexposed if I'm not like somehow slotted in as every time. That way, because you can only fit so many people in here, so. We want to give other people a chance to be here.
Speaking of fitting people, this is the first time we've had 5 people.
That is very true.
Episode 2.
Dang, son.
No, it was 4. I was gone. And you guys still had 4. You guys had 4.
Me, you, and
down
4. I can't count.
Damn.
I was gone and I knew that. I was gone and I knew that.
Wait, but Tim, can you repeat what you just said?
I can't actually. I don't remember what I just said.
Okay, never mind.
I've been there. I know that feel.
So anyways, if you're joining us for the first time, we appreciate it. We appreciate the traffic you guys are giving us. This is a podcast where we talk about anything that interests us, from video games to anime to comics, and things of that nature, and anything else within pop culture. So with that being said, let's get started. And I'm going to get started with this. Music-wise. So AY just actually, obviously we all know AY, but any of you guys listening, AY is a buddy of ours who's trying to make it happen in the music scene, and he's starting to do things, and he's starting to kind of take his music places now. And now he just actually sent me a text the other day saying that he submitted his song Titanic for a Grammy nomination. Mm-hmm. So he's appreciating and hoping that he can get more traffic on that song Titanic, which, by the way, I was planning on featuring it for our intro outro for the song today. I think you guys should take a listen. I think it's a very solid song. It's one of those. It's a song that is on both. It's a relationship song, but not a typical relationship song that's either all about the love portion, but all about or all about a breakup. It's actually a combination of the two. So I wanted to give him a quick shout out, and if you haven't seen him or heard of him, he's a Kansas City local guy. Check him out. He's you can find some videos on him on YouTube. Find him in anywhere around the Kansas City area. Mainly does stuff on the plaza most of the weekends. So go check him out. Does some pretty good stuff. So just want to throw that there.
For those of us who maybe haven't heard of him and are interested, especially to kind of help boost his signal for the Grammy, where would we go to listen to that song that would be the best boost for that? Would that just be his YouTube channel, or?
Yeah. So what I will do is there is a link that he actually sent me, and the link here is GrammyAmplifier.com. And then it's /artist/submission/Titanic. I will post a link with the episode. That way people have a way of getting to it. And every listen you do within an hour, I think it's 1 vote an hour for that listen, and then sharing whether on Facebook, Twitter, all that jazz is more points towards that. So I will have that on there. Again, if you're listening and you want to look it up now, it's www.grammyamplifier.com/artists /submission/Titanic. So go check it out. All right. With that being said, what's on the table, guys? What you got? Actually, no. Let me back up. John, start us off.
With
What?
the
First
top
topic.
five?
First topic. Yeah, let's go into with the top five. Let's go to top five done. Let's go with that. What you got?
All right, so I was kind of thinking about it. Something I thought everybody here could sink their teeth into a little bit, including me. So the top five is, what are your top five favorite secondary characters in an anime, a manga, and or a live-action Japanese show? You know, basically all within that scope. And why?
Not American cartoons.
I feel like that could be its own topic. You know,
Yeah, that really
I
can
believe
be.
that they are of equal value, but I think the field is so broad that I mean we could narrow this down into like subgenres in each direction, and maybe
Yeah,
we can at some point.
you've
I
got
pretty
one
much
there.
did already. All of mine are kind of within.
Characters.
Yeah, and so
Golly.
my thinking on that, just for both everybody sitting physically at this table and everybody listening in, the way I think of it is a secondary character would be somebody who shows up a lot, but they aren't necessarily the quote-unquote main character, the star character. They're not the one the show is named after. Now, if you have a show, like, in my mind, several of my examples are from, like, some of the big names, you know, Full Metal Alchemist, Naruto, Bleach, several of those. You kind of have a core cast of, like, 2, 3, 4, 5 characters who are, like, the stars. Full Metal Alchemist would be the Elric brothers. So neither one of them would be a secondary character. The show focuses on both
So
of them.
then, like Naruto would be Team 7.
They would be
That'd be-
considered the main characters in my mind.
Okay.
And to make it a little more specific, and my thinking is also it wouldn't be the big villain, the overarching villain, the final villain. So,
That's like right out of my thing.
I mean, it depends. You know, I mean,
You know what? No, I'm good.
We can come back.
Yeah.
You know, we have some time. I've got a little bit, and I don't just have names.
I was
so
very
that'll give you a little
confident
more
until you
time.
said that.
Well, I was just thinking because I feel like you guys have touched on this before. The best stories are made not just by the protagonist, but by the antagonist, or you know, not just by the hero, but by the villain. The heroes by themselves can be good, but a hero and a villain paired together makes for a fantastic story. It really is true. I mean, if you look through, you know,
So then at
Anime.
that point, the antagonist is a main character, so to speak.
yeah. So,
Okay.
and I mean, it depends. Like, yeah, I don't know. So I feel like it's a little fuzzier there, but yeah, definitely not like. So in like a Batman show, it would not be Batman that we'd be talking about here. I mean, that's Western, but you get the idea. So I have a list, and it's kind of, I figure it's a combination of characters that I like that fit this mold, and then also it's examples to kind of help people figure out what's going on here. So the first one, and these are in no like ranking order, they're just the order I thought of them and wrote them down in. So the first one is, one of my favorites is Alex Louise Armstrong from Full Metal Alchemist.
Solid pick.
Yeah.
Solid pick.
It's as solid as his musculature. And you know, I finished this list and I realized that of the 5, 4 of them all fit kind of in some ways the mold that Armstrong does, in that he's a character who's like ridiculous and funny half the time, but then the other half the time he's like serious, and usually that's bad for people who he's going against. Armstrong in particular, from that series, I like how he's not as flashy as some of the other guys. Like, he doesn't make things blow up or disintegrate or, you know, shoot lightning or anything like that. He basically just moves rocks. He just does it really, really well in techniques that are passed down through the Armstrong line for generations. For anyone who's not familiar with the story, the character will say that about almost anything that he does, all the way from fighting techniques to, I don't know, jokes.
The way he irons his shirt.
Yes, everything. And he probably goes through a lot of shirts since he keeps ripping them off.
Yeah.
Constantly.
Which is just a hilarious joke thing that I just like, you know, how he'll constantly he'll just flex and, you know, suddenly his torso is exposed. And the pink sparkles kind of make it. It sounds ridiculous, but if you watch the show, it really does work. And he really is an excellent blend of comedy and serious. Because like once you get a little further in the series, you realize maybe why he's so flippant half the time. So my next one is, and I may butcher this guy's name because I'm not the best with Japanese pronunciation, but Captain Shunsui Koryaku, the captain of the 8th Division from Bleach. If anyone here is familiar with that show. So he's another one of those characters who's like, at first glance, it's like, oh, this guy's just a joker. Who would take this guy seriously? I mean, he lounges around. He wears this big, flowery pink kimono. He's got, the straw hat. It's just, like, one of his first appearances, he literally has his lieutenant throwing flower petals over him because it's more cinematic or something. Because he just likes how it looks.
I do remember that.
And then he's like, one stroke and, oh, no, Chad's down. Yeah. No, character who is sold as just being a total powerhouse, just like one hit and he's down. And then, later on, he pulls out his swords. And
Swords.
yeah, for a little...
He's only one of 2 people to dual wield.
He's one of only 2
Zanpakuto.
people in that setting in which all of these characters who are called Shinigami have swords that have special powers. They all kind of reflect the character. Really, they're an excuse for the artist, the guy who makes the manga and anime, to draw super unique character designs and powers. Yeah. This guy, like I said, he starts off with 2 swords. He's actually the only one, I believe, who has, even in the fully powered down state, 2 blades. Everybody else has 1 blade. One other guy has one that becomes 2 swords. He's the only one with 2 blades. And he's really, really good at it. Like,
alright, so if anyone's watched Bleach, you know that Old Man Yamamoto considers him and the other guy who has 2 swords more than likely his successor. If Old Man Yamamoto is the leader of Seirei, he is the albeit king of... No, okay, let me back that up before I get torn apart. Yeah. He is not the king of Soul Society, but he is a leader of Seirei. He is leader of the Seirei, the security force. Obviously, yes, we know Squad Zero is a thing. Calm down, people. I know Squad Zero is a thing. But from most people, Squad 1 is the strongest squad, and he's the leader of Squad 1. He is the captain of all the captains. So essentially, his squad is composed of all captains. Yes, he does command Squad 1, but his personal squad is composed of every single captain from Squad 2 to Squad 13. So, Old Man Yamamoto is no joke, and the fact that he considers one of these 2 more than likely the ones to be his successor, yeah, that's a good pick.
Yeah.
That's a really good pick.
And I especially, one thing I liked is, we saw very briefly when him and, I think it's Ukitake, I could be mangling it, Ukitake go against Yamamoto, like in the first major arc. We don't really see that fight. We see those 2 release their swords, and they have like a really long release phrase that's really poetic and stuff, and they look really cool. I like Shunsui's swords in particular. They become those big, like, kind of almost falchions, like big black swords. They're kind of fancy, but they look pretty mean. We don't really see what they do until really the, I guess, next to last major arc. And then it's basically like, he's basically a low-level reality warper with them. But the thing I like more from that fight is that he goes from being totally silly to, cheating doesn't exist in a fight because you're fighting to win, so, I don't care about fighting fair. I'll just kill you fast. And it's just, it doesn't feel like a flip. Somehow it feels completely natural for him to go from, like, laughing and tossing his sword between his hands to trying to just, rip the other guy's... Yeah.
Can we say One Punch Man? Anybody? Anybody?
I haven't watched it, but I will take your word on it.
The flip is kind of like that.
Yeah,
but
One Punch Man's pretty good with that.
So my next guy, at this point, you guys may have seen the trend. The next one, and I think I mentioned him. You guys did a top 5 at one point. I felt you left him out. Jiraiya from Naruto. Probably, honestly, I think he is still my favorite character from that series. I feel like he is actually one of the, like, 3 most genuine, like, came from nothing, hard work made him awesome characters. Because, without getting into huge spoiler territory, I don't know if everybody here at the table has gone through the whole series, or anybody listening has maybe not made it through. It's a really big anime, a really big manga. So if you're still working through it, keep going. But Naruto isn't actually just the I have no, I came from nothing. He actually has a lot of cards stacked in his favor. Jiraiya has no. Yeah, that may have been an understatement.
That is a massive understatement.
A lot might be silent. That might be like
You're the son of the dead president.
That's like step one. There's 9 more steps.
I just want you to know you're not having to pay for much in life.
Yeah. So, but Jiraiya, I mean, he really is. I don't know if rags to riches is the right word, but he really did, just through hard work and training and dedication, become. I think he's still probably one of the 10 most powerful characters in that series. I feel like in the last 5%, like the last 10th of the last arc, it got really ridiculous. Up until that point, he could have taken Pain on. I think. Pain himself said that if Jiraiya had known that there had been 6 of him, he would have probably won. I mean, he always had a trick up his sleeve. He was actually good at being the whole like deceptive ninja thing, because he was another, again, talking about the pattern here, he's comedic. I mean, he's he comes off as just this lazy, lecherous, do-nothing. He writes...
alcoholic pervert.
Yeah, he's an alcoholic pervert who writes, cheap smut, basically. And he's also a terrifying force of nature. And he doesn't even have some of the advantages of other characters of like super eyes or like, I can use every single element or anything like that. I think in the series he generally uses like earth and water. He uses fire a couple of times in conjunction. So he's got kind of a specific niche. But he's just so good at that. His skills are varied enough without being like a ridiculous I can just do everything because I can thing. And I just like his character's like look, like the visual style and stuff. Honestly, I actually modeled a character I'm currently playing in a tabletop role-playing campaign after him.
Jiraiya.
Yeah.
Very nice.
He summons frogs. He's got similar like color look. He doesn't have the big white mane of hair. We couldn't get a mini that had hair that I liked, and none of the guys who do in our group who paint minis felt comfortable doing hair. So he's bald, but he's got like a big mustache. So I've said that now that he's gone to the mystical, otherworldly Frog Mountain, he's come back. He has white hair. But yeah, I was just like, he's not like a 1-for-1 translation, but he's not too far off. And because I just like the concept. It's like, you wouldn't think, frogs, those can't do anything. Except they kind of can. Especially when they're the size of an apartment building.
Oh, Gamabunta. I loved Gamabunta. He was my favorite.
Yeah. So that's 3. The 4th is one that, I mean, maybe you guys have heard of him, maybe you haven't. It's the character Volfog from Gal Gaigar. It's Gal Gaigar. It's a mecha series. It's a super robot series. It's from the, I want to say, mid to late 90s. The title mecha is it has like a big lion head in the center of its chest.
I've heard of it, but I've never actually watched it.
Yeah, I watched the series a while back. I managed to find it, watch it. I don't know if maybe it's been imported in the U.S. I don't know. It's one of those series where it wasn't like heavily advertised in the U.S., but I think maybe, I don't know, TV tropes or something. I heard, this is a fun series. It's one of those, if you like this, you'll like this kind of things.
Yeah.
And I watched it, and I mean, this character, I was just like, okay, he's pretty awesome. And this is pretty much literal. He is a ninja police car transformer robot.
What?
That sounds like something that can only exist in an anime.
It pretty much is. It pretty much is. So, breaking it down, he's a robot. Okay? And transformer meaning he transforms between robot and car. His car form is specifically a police car, but when he transforms, he really has kind of his, like, I don't know, skin, plating, whatever you want to call it, makes him look a lot like a ninja. And he has, like, abilities, like, he can turn invisible and make holograms and, like, project mist and stuff. So he's, like, big on, like, misdirection and stealth attacks. And then, like, his main weapon is basically either two almost like boomerangs, or they connect together into a giant four-pointed throwing star. So, I mean, he's a ninja. And then later on, it's shown that he has these two little... They're not, like... I wouldn't say they're, like, sentient. They're not separate, like, entities on their own. They don't talk. They don't have a personality. He, like, remote controls these two other robots that turn into a bike and a motorcycle and a helicopter. I think they're both police-themed as well. And they, like, can individually transform and do stuff, or they combine with him and he becomes a bigger robot. He's less ninja-y then, but he's bigger. You know, the whole series, everything is combining. There's all... Not like... They don't have, like, in some of, like, the Power Rangers things where you maybe have multiple Megazords and, like, all of the Megazords combined. It's not quite that crazy.
Wait,
but,
that's happened?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
I have not seen this before.
I will touch on... I actually... We'll get to that. There's a series where that's happened. But like in this series, there's like 6 different like combo robots. There's a bunch of robots in the series. It's really fun. It's one of those where they've got a character that's like from America and it's like cheesily American themed, but it actually works somehow. But yeah, he's really fun. I like the whole ninja police car robot. It's literally what he is.
Robot.
Yeah. And he's just, I don't know, he's fun because he's like one of the more serious characters on the show. He doesn't really have as much of a comedic element as the others, but he's almost sort of slightly got a Batman thing going on. And you guys probably could twig that I have a little bit of a weakness for Batman things. So, you know, anybody who knows me isn't really shocked by this, probably. You know, I mean, maybe you are, but probably not.
No, not really.
And then the last one is not actually from an anime. It's from a live-action show. I connected those because I feel like a lot of them have the same sort of feel as animes in that, you know, they're very over-the-top, very crazy stuff happening. You know, like the Super Sentais and whatnot. In particular, this one is from one of the Kamen Rider series. The character is called DJ Sargara from Kamen Rider Game. It's a show that I watched all the way through. It's one of the 2 Kamen Riders I've watched all the way through instead of like getting bits and pieces. He's not actually ever one of the like he's never a transforming hero. He doesn't like turn into a Kamen Rider or anything like that.
Okay.
He's kind of one of those like he's introduced and he's basically like he's almost like the episode bookend guy. Like he'll have maybe a little scene at the beginning and or at the end. And he's this crazy, like he's wearing, like, garish outfits with the, like, bright colors, and he's got shades, and he's like 30-something, but he looks like he's trying to be a hip teenager look, almost, and he's just, like, yelling and gesturing with his hands. He's like, oh my gosh, things happening, people fighting, it's amazing, what are the rankings? And then, like, you start seeing him in scenes with other characters where it's like, wait, this guy knows more about what's going on. What's up with this here? And you start getting the sense that there's more going on with this character. I mean, there's more going on with any characters, but there's more going on with this guy in particular. Mm-hmm. And so, now this is going to get into spoiler territory, so if there's anyone out there listening, whoever wants to watch this series front to back, and doesn't want to be spoiled, because there are plot twists that happen, and I think they're pretty good plot twists.
Spoiler.
But there are plot twists, so yes, spoiler alert for the series Kamen Rider Game. That's probably a really niche market, but nonetheless, spoiler warning for that series. You end up finding out that he's not even human. He is actually an entity, he is essentially the manifestation of this alien extra-dimensional forest that, like, invades planets or invades alternate Earths and transforms them and mutates the population and stuff. And congratulations, that's where all your Monster of the Weeks come from. And he ends up giving, let's see, at least 2 characters, you know, power-up boost items and stuff. Not because he's like, oh, your cause is righteous and I want righteousness to win. but because it's interesting. His character is one of those, I don't really care who wins, I just want to see what happens because it's interesting. And he goes like from dressing in like the garish, overcolored stuff, and the colors get muted, but he's still kind of dressing, you know, like modern style. And then suddenly there's almost like a switch is flipped, and he's wearing like these almost like Buddhist monk robes. He has like long flowing robes, and he has this giant.
Oh man!
It was so cool looking. Like it's silly, but it's cool looking. It's this scarf that's like scarf or something. It looks almost like a collar is inside of it because it sticks up from like on his chest up to like his nose. And it's stiff, but it looks like a big scarf. And so half the time he's talking, you can't even see his mouth. But that's apparently not even his real form. He's like the manifestation of the forest.
Okay.
But yeah, he's the only one of the characters who never really fights, but he's really important to the plot. And he is another one of those, starts off really just, oh, ha ha ha, it's that guy. And then like a few episodes in, you're like, oh my gosh. He's what's going on with this guy? So yeah, he's fun. So yeah, those are mine. Top 5 secondary characters.
Okay.
Without
Nobody wants to
them,
volunteer.
you know, without them, the show wouldn't be the same. So yeah, we don't have to go in order if somebody has some ideas.
All right. So Ace, you want to go next?
Sure.
I'm still trying to figure
This
this
is where I
out.
want to go.
I made a list and now I can't pull up the list. I'm like, oh,
All right.
I mean, I'll go while we're waiting for that.
If
All right.
you've got it, go for it, man.
Mine is in no particular order. Okay, so let's start things off. Everybody, if you know me, you guys know that I absolutely love One Piece. I could talk One Piece all day.
Really?
oh.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
All right,
That was
but-
a little mean.
Even more about One Piece coming soon.
Yep, that's right.
Coming soon
we're gonna have
to
to have
an
an
internets
episode
near
that's
you.
all One Piece, but you
Yeah.
Either Caleb will not have to be here, or he better catch up quick. And we know that's not happening.
Me and him can just go sit out there and catch up while you guys talk.
Yeah. Good luck. All right. Anyway, my first secondary character is going to be Ace.
Hey, thank you.
Oh, I got you, homie. Anyway, we all know Ace is like one of the dopest characters. Like he has a really cool devil fruit. He uses a spirit bomb, and he's
A flame spirit bomb, by the way.
flame spirit bomb. Yes, and you know he's captain of the second troop of the Whitebeard Pirates. So, yeah. So that's the first one on my list, which is in no order. Next one I'm gonna have to say is Gaara.
Okay.
Yeah, I definitely love his backstory. It's like, you know, it's not a typical
You
like.
love that?
Yeah,
Okay.
I like that.
Here's the thing. Basically, all they did was they took Naruto's story and then they flipped it and then gave it to Gaara. So anything that could not have happened to Naruto
Happened
to Gaara. That's literally all it is.
Including
Makes it
parental
sad.
Like,
child
but-
abuse.
Yes.
I'm going. I'm sorry. It's. You mentioned his backstory. That's straight up what happened. I mean, there's no.
So
other way to call it.
Naruto has no parents. Gaara does. Gets abused.
Oh.
He starts to get friends. He has no, and Naruto starts to get friends. Gaara has no friends.
Naruto doesn't have siblings. Gaara has siblings.
Yeah. So on and so forth. We get the picture.
Yeah. All right. But more than that, I love like the transformation he made from like Naruto through Naruto
that
to
was-
the end
that
of
was
Shippuden. That was a
very
beautiful
solid.
transformation. I love how they did that.
Gotta love
And,
friendship, no jutsu.
Also, how he
Yes.
I love how he's
That's
like
the title of the episode.
Wait, it is?
No, but it should be.
We can make
Hey, it's been a while.
we can make
But
it that
anyway,
way.
also, like, I just love how he's an inspiration to Naruto. Like, how he became Kazekage at such a young age. Naruto saw that. He's like, I want to do that. So, made him work harder. All right. Next on my list, I'm going to take it back a little bit. In Brago from Zatch Bell. I don't know if you guys remember him.
Oh my
Yes.
good! I almost watched Zatch Bell today. I'm not even kidding. I
Yeah.
pulled up
I
Hulu.
don't know why he just popped out of nowhere. Like, what was his name? So I had to go look it up, but it's Brago. If you guys haven't watched Zatch Bell, he's not quite his rival, but he's kind of like, I don't know how to describe him.
Is he kind of like always there pushing the main character onward kind of thing?
Is he a sidekick?
He's not a sidekick, but he's always like they're all in a competition, but he's always like neck and neck with Zatch. So I just thought he was a BA character, and he's pretty dope. And it's kind of weird how like he's a Momoto and he contrasts from what are the his spellcast. I don't know what you would call them.
Yeah.
Like total contrast. He's like emo looking guy, and it's like a rich girl, like pink dress, blonde hair.
They are total, but the way that the character design for him was very solid. You're just like, you can tell he's that tough dude. Like, he doesn't even look the size, but the way they've created him, you can tell, like, oh, he's a problem to beat.
Yeah.
He is a problem.
All right. Next on my list is going to be Kaname Tosin. Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think he's awesome. Just his his ability is pretty sick. It's how he's blind, but like he's still able to, be a force to reckon with. Like, just love that. The first time I saw his Bankai, I think I threw a chair out the window.
Well, I liked it because that's a good point. I really like that character, and his Bankai is cool because it wasn't just like more fire, more sword.
More power.
It was different.
wait,
It changed the environment. It kind of
It suited him.
It suited him. It was perfect for him, but it also, in my mind, it really opened your eyes to what Bankais could do, because it was like, okay, the rules are really loose here at this point. It's basically, is it awesome? Yes, we can do it. Yes. Honestly, and what you were saying about, he's blind, but he can totally fight anyway. That's why I didn't like his last fight. Or after a certain point, like once he did the, resurrection or whatever, however you would say that. That was the point in the fight. I'm just like, like before that point, in the last big what do they call the arc? The Eisen arc?
Arrancar. Well, no. Well, there was the Arrancar. Well, I think overall it was like Hueca Mundo.
Yeah.
But then you could break it down.
The big final fight.
I would call it Hueco
area.
Mundo because I would consider the Eisen arc between Eisen and Ichigo, that very, very last fight.
Well,
Yeah.
So
Okay.
I think I would still put it under Hueco Mundo because
Yeah.
at this point, Ichigo is still literally in Hueco Mundo.
Yeah. Or it's in the fake Karakura fight
fake Karakura,
series.
yeah.
So if you like him at that point, it's cool. But like for me, up to the point where he, spoiler warning, turns into the. Have you seen through that part, Tim? You've seen everything, or am I spoiling this for you?
I've heard everything. I haven't seen everything, but I've heard everything.
Do you care if I spoil?
I really don't.
Okay, he turns into a giant cricket, and suddenly he can actually see.
Yes.
Totally just. I mean, the design was stupid.
The ugliest, one of the ugliest resurrections I've seen in a long time.
I mean, it was stupid.
Why cricket?
Well,
why not?
his release is actually a cricket name. I want to say like his sword's name is like cricket something or something like that. It's like cricket themed, and I think cricket because he uses like his hearing and stuff. He's blind, but
He come with 10 gigs of data.
But he just. you would hope with those antenna, but I don't think so.
oh my god!
And now I need to leave
plays out here.
But yeah, like
My
up
10
until the
gigs of
point that
data's
he did
good,
that, he
bro.
was still totally awesome because he
That
was.
wasn't a shot at you, man.
That was totally a shot at
Yeah. So.
All right, and then at the top of my list, got to end it with One Piece. It's gonna be Buggy. No, I'm kidding.
Oh
No, it's
my
not. I'm
God.
kidding.
Okay.
No, it's not Buggy.
Thank God.
I put Buggy / Red Hair Shanks.
And you really did put Buggy on that. I want to hit you
Yeah.
just for that.
I know.
I think Buggy's just a funny character. He's a great comic relief. Like, I want to say something, but I don't want to spoil it for Mookie, so I'm just gonna.
Slide right out of those.
Anyway, but the reason I put Red Hair Shanks is I think he's one of the dopest / strongest characters.
And he's also
in the
on
One
Fairy
Piece.
Tail.
What?
He's also on Fairy Tail.
I'm just gonna leave that uncommented.
Okay.
Anyway.
Look alike.
Anyway, but
Exact same
I think he's one of the
character on
strongest characters in the One Piece world. We're on episode 721, and we have not seen him fight. We haven't seen him fight yet.
Haven't seen him fight, but we've seen him knock out 300 plus people with his hockey.
Yeah.
Just boom, he just walked in. Everybody passes out.
Something to have
Oh,
just
for a,
Fairy
sec-
Tail.
for a second, I thought you meant like a hockey stick, but that's right. Yeah.
What?
He went all Casey
savage.
Jones up in here.
And he's the only emperor that doesn't have a devil fruit. So
Yes.
that obviously says something. One, if you're an emperor, you have to be strong as heck. And two, his hockey is strong enough to beat people alone.
Okay, let's
So-
okay. not gonna give a spoiler, but in the war, Whitebeard takes a massive beating.
Okay, that is a spoiler already, so you just might as well slide right back out of that game.
I haven't.
Put on your
This
Michael
man
Jackson
got
shoes and
angry.
start backsliding, because you already way...
He said moonwalk out of there.
Not this is not.
I mean, like...
Like a smooth criminal.
I haven't really said anything.
Go ahead.
I haven't really said anything.
Just finish what you're saying, man.
Let's just put it this way. If you see somebody take a cannonball to the face and still survive,
Bro, why you gotta tell? Why you gotta snitch? Why you gotta snitch on that? I'm sorry.
What part of no spoilers does he not understand?
He always
No
knows to get-
spoilers spoils everything immediately. What?
Let me tell you exactly how he didn't die.
You know what? I'm gonna stop you right there. I can say this anyway. We know, this battle happens or whatever. So Kaido, another one of the emperors, quote unquote, the strongest beast alive. Apparently, Shanks at this point is fighting him in the New World, right? So the strongest beast against Shanks. Shanks stops the battle just to show up to Marineford. That has to say something. So yeah.
He's totally on Fairy Tail.
no, he's not.
Every time, we'll talk about this another time.
Maybe they share artists or something.
He has the exact same powers.
But yeah, that's my list. So yeah, who's going next?
Were you able to pull yours up?
My on the top of my list we have Brock from Pokemon. And I think as a kid it was just cool to see another black guy on anime. Honestly,
I'll give you
I can say
that.
Brock a character though. In my
Waffle colored
opinion.
Negro, really? I mean, okay, we'll take it where we can get it.
since we brought up the fact that Team 7 is the main character, I guess for Naruto, Obito Uchiha is my.
Obito.
Okay.
I have Tails from Sonic. And you might not count that as an anime, but there was an anime for Sonic.
No, there
So
totally
there was.
Okay, so
I think
okay.
it might have been more than one.
I don't know if you. I guess you could. It depends on how it's written. You
His
could make
name
him
is
as
Sonic. The name.
The
of the show
name is Sonic, but then again, he's there all the time.
who's the main character in Naruto?
Naruto.
Who's the main
but-
character of Superman?
Hey, hold up.
Who's the main character of Sonic? Sonic. All right.
But he
next.
did.
Who's the main character? Sonic?
He gave a very good explanation on what he meant.
No, you said who's the main character in Naruto. My answer would probably be
Orochimaru.
Sasuke.
Yeah.
Bam! Dropping that out there.
All right. Next, I have Cone from Bleach.
Oh no.
Bro, what's up with this list, man? You think like
This is the greatest troll list of all time. The greatest troll
I
list
thought about
of
making
all
a troll
time.
list, but I was like,
And then
nah.
wait, just let me say my last one, please.
All right.
Dark Magician. I'm done.
What?
He has a very solid point.
Yo, Dark Magician been there since day one. Man.
He has a very solid
I was going
point.
to say Karibo, but I was like, nah. Dark
Karibo
Bro,
is...
Karibo too.
Should've.
Karibo too.
I would have given Karibo honorable mention, but Dark Magician, no. I mean,
Yeah,
What series
Clutch.
is Dark Magician from?
You know exactly because there is a box word right under the mic.
Oh, okay.
We constantly have Yu-Gi-Oh around here.
I have not actually sat down and watched the series, so I'm generally
it's on
familiar
Netflix.
with-
It's on Netflix. That's all you got. That's all
Yeah,
you
there's
got.
a million things on Netflix that I want to or ought to watch.
Speaking
so.
on Netflix, before I top my list, Jessica Jones though.
Bro, I was waiting to get to that. I was
hold
we'll
on.
get to that.
Circular argument. Yeah,
Yeah.
We'll get back to Jessica Jones. Top of my list, and I will go chronologically. Hawkeye Mihawk.
Yes.
Number one, like just as far as like guest characters.
I mean, I
go,
would have
just,
given
like,
number one, but I do agree. Like he's a great secondary character.
Yeah, secondary character as far as like story arc, power, just all the things that like One Piece does well. Hawkeye Mihawk is at top of that list. Secondary character number 2, Old Man Yamamoto. Especially because like the first time you see him, you're like, why is this old guy the leader? I mean, it's probably just like a legacy thing. He's like 1,000 years old, and then he decides to fight, and he turns out to be John Bones Jones Sr. What?
Or John Cena.
Oh, John Cena. No, he's like, and like his he's literally just pure fire. His sword is just pure fire. Literally,
It's-
just literal fire.
Its
Phoenix
release
burn-
command is very
burn
telling.
everything alive.
I think
His release.
That man is mixtape.
I've seen a few different translations. My favorite translation is burn
burned
all
my
creation to ashes.
That is
Like, bam.
just everything. Just
You know
dies.
that's suicide, though.
That's
If I heard that, I'm out.
yeah,
Like,
but
I'm fading. Like-
that's basically the mic drop of release commands.
Yeah,
It's like,
just-
nope, done.
Just burn everything alive. Like if it's in
That's
front
what I'm
of
gonna
me,
say to my mixtape right before I drop it.
What, burn all creation to ashes?
Yes.
I don't
Like,
want to hear that
If you
mixtape.
open with that line on a mixtape,
That's when you get the walk home.
No,
Although, another,
that's when you have bragging rights.
you're right about
And street
his
cred.
power of
there's
fire.
everything to fire.
What I like about him is he's super dangerous even if he's not using a sword.
Yeah.
He proves that redonkulously clear.
Yeah, there's a point where I think one of the captains like started talking and he just released his spiritual energy. She couldn't even breathe. He was like, "You're a child. Get out of my presence. I don't want. You're a child. This is a full-blown captain." No, it was a captain.
It was Shunsu's lieutenant.
Lieutenant.
I think he said something like, "You're 1,000 years too young
Yeah.
to even come against me," because he's like 2,000 years old.
Yeah, this is old man. Old man's got some digits on him. Like this old man Yamamoto plays no games.
Yo, I'd be scared if he was like,
Boy.
Yo.
No.
would literally roast you.
Honestly, those two were easy.
that's
The
not
third ones are kind of hard. I really wanted to pick.
Incinerated on the spot.
You guys have seen Soul Eater, right?
Yep.
Yes.
I had
Black Star.
yeah, I want to pick Blackstar,
He's
but he's a
technically-
main character.
He's a main character.
So I have to fall back and go with Death.
Death.
Death. He's a funny character. He fits your mold perfectly. He's kind of one of the strongest character in the known universe. He is Death incarnate, but most of the time he's drawn as this goofy,
OCD.
OCD obsessive with giant clown hands. But when he has to fight, I mean,
Man turns to a savage.
he turns into a savage. He's a scary figure, and most of the kids in the academy can't even stand the sight of him. Even his son hasn't really seen him fight. And then it gets close to the end of the arc, and because they can't just have Death come in and hit it with a 2-piece and just end the world, Death is basically put in a position where he can't fight to the fullest of his abilities. So therefore, the kids have to step up. But when you do see him go in, like, bruh. Death is a really dope character, and like it was one of those things where like you saw flashes of it, so you kind of waited for it to happen. And unfortunately, we never got that satisfaction checklist at the end of the anime. Maybe it happened in the manga.
It did happen in the manga.
Okay, cool. But in the anime, it was just kind of like
You're never gonna read it.
half a
Are you?
checklist. Me, I probably will, but it's like half a checklist, and they're like,
That's a no.
okay, we'll let you see what he can do, and then let your mind wander. But in the manga, I'm sure they let him go.
Yeah.
So I have to go with Death. And then following up, like Soul Eater just kind of caught me off guard. I started watching it after playing, like, I think we got to round 45 on Zombies and Black Ops 2 one night and we're just bored. And was like, hey, have you guys watched Soul Eater? No? Put it on. I watched the entire series in 2 days. So it really caught me off guard. So I had to put Frankenstein as number 4. Frankenstein's another great character. Another
Yes.
great character. He's like...
It's so weird at first.
It
Like,
was so weird. I was like, this
I was
guy's
like,
weird.
why is
But
he
it-
screwing his head?
Yeah, and then it's really... it's one of those characters that catch you off guard. And
Granddad.
rounding out the list, I wanted to say Joey Wheeler, but after Joey,
I thought of him.
I thought about saying Joey Wheeler, but like Joey kind of got a couple good dubs out here. Joey's got Joey's got some nice wins under his belt, and like after that, like I guess Battle City, I would consider him a main character because I wouldn't consider him a main character in the first one, but after Battle City, he's definitely a main character. So I'll have to go with Frankie from One Piece. Yeah, just because like the story of how everything happens and like how like I don't want to say transformation, but like how the story arc unwinds. It's a really really good one. So Hawkeye, Old Man Yamamoto, Death, Frankenstein, and Frankie from One Piece.
Okay.
It's just a couple quick things bouncing off that first. You mentioned you really like Mihawk. I can't remember if I told you, but there's this YouTube series called Men at Arms Reforged, and they make swords. They do
I've
it from
seen
video
it,
games.
I've
Yeah,
seen
they made his sword.
My favorite one that they made is Zelda's Master Sword.
Yeah, that was another good one.
That was fantastic.
But I couldn't remember if I told you about it or if
Not
you'd
yet,
seen it.
but I'm gonna have to go peek that out. Yeah, I saw them make Zelda's Master Sword, and that was really really cool. I think he basically makes props for Hollywood. So if you've ever seen any like middle-aged movie that has like swords or anything, that guy and his company
probably
he probably made it.
Well, I think he specifically mentions I think it's the Mask of Zorro.
Mask of Zorro,
is one that he's made a lot of swords for. Like, if it's the first season when it's the one like older guy with like the gray beard and stuff. Yeah, I think he probably would have made a lot of like stunt swords and stuff. He could probably crank out like the more basic looking stuff really easily.
Yeah.
But then like the really cool or nifty things, yeah, it takes a little longer, but he has some good work.
Yeah, they even made. I think it was like, if anyone, it's one of like the other Metal Gear games. It's Metal Gear Rising when you play as you don't play as Snake, you play as
Raiden.
Yeah.
Raiden.
Yeah, they have Lightning has a sword in his leg.
Mm-hmm.
They remade that one, so that was really interesting because it's like actually a physical leg, but it's a sword. So that was really cool to see.
And then the other thing that kind of came to mind, you mentioned Death from Soul Eater, which I have not seen yet, but it's another one of those I'll try to watch it at some point. But I kind of had the thought, any series where you have Death incarnate as a character, there's a really good chance it's going to be a good series if you're interested in watching what happens with Death incarnate. If Death incarnate isn't like just boring, and then everyone dies, or it's just like the figure that hovers in the background, but like you can interact with Death, and Death has a personality. So let's see another example, which this is straying from anime, but Terry Pratchett, may he rest in peace, the Discworld series, Death is a character and is an interesting character. He's one of many people's favorite characters in that whole series.
Yeah, and if you guys are big Marvel fans, you know that Death is not only a physical, like, not only does Death exist as an incarnate, but like Death is a female, and Thanos is actually in love with Death. Like, he is physically in love with the character Death. And she is Death. Like, she's one of, I don't know too much about the Marvel Universe, but to the best of my knowledge, she is one of, like, the otherworldly powers and where she can make herself a physical representation, but she just exists as Death. So, she's quite a powerful being, and, like, so Thanos' obsession, when Thanos speaks of Death, and especially in the Guardians, when he speaks of Death, he's actually he's talking about, like, obviously killing somebody, but it's actually, it's kind of double
entendre.
Yeah, it's a double entendre where he's like saying, I'm going to kill you, but it's also, I'm sending you to the one that I love. So it's kind of like, to him, dying is an honor. So, there's also that. So, yeah, I agree with you. When Death exists as a physical thing you can interact with, it always kind of changes the perception and the chemistry of how the show works, but really cool.
Okay. So I guess that leaves me. So, no particular order. On my list, Hiei from Yu Yu Hakusho.
Bro, he's so
Man
OP
is
in
overpowered.
J-Stars.
So powerful.
J-Stars? Oh my gosh, he's so OP, but...
Whatever.
But I liked one thing though. I liked that the way they did him in the manga, even though he was overpowered, there were still drawbacks to his power. Which they did. There was one particular, I think, attack. I don't remember what the name of it was. He used it during the Death Tournament, and I think he basically lost the use of his arm for quite a while. He had to go through some treatment, or had to find somebody to help him at least get the use of his arm back. So, then we're gonna go to Itachi.
No. Back that up. Itachi is a side character, bro?
Yes.
I would say he's not a main
He's not a main. Not a main.
I would definitely make him like definitely a main antagonist.
No.
What do you mean, bro? Sasuke's entire first 2 years is like in the show.
He's chasing his brother. Yes, he's chasing after his brother.
But then he's not the main antagonist, though. For Sasuke, he's his main antagonist.
Yeah,
but
but
for Sasuke, but then once he gets beyond that, the whole focus
say
changes.
Sasuke is the main character? Who said Sasuke is the main character?
I made that.
Yeah, you
half
said it, so
joke.
it counts.
He said it as a joke.
I would say, like, I think Goddard's right, because Itachi's a presence through a lot of the series, but he's not the one. He's not making plots. He's not out there saying...
He's not making the plots. And then once he gets beyond Sasuke, he realizes that Sasuke was the one he never... Sasuke realizes Itachi wasn't the one he really should have been chasing after.
Yeah, alright. I mean, I still feel like Itachi is too much of a mainstay in the story to be considered a side character. But hey, that's just...
Well, I said secondary. I mean, all characters,
yeah.
like the first 3 characters I named, you wouldn't say they're like side characters.
At all.
But they're not like, so this is about characters who maybe aren't... they're always in the focus, but they're in the focus a lot. They're important. They're just not like the title character, or in my half-joking sense, either the title character or the main character, like in Naruto.
Yeah.
That's a little bit of gripe from a few arcs of like the manga and such, where it felt like Naruto was basically getting no screen time and Sasuke was getting win to win to win to win. And anyway, that's a side argument. Sorry.
Okay.
Back to Goddard's list.
Next is the 3rd Hokage.
Ooh.
The 3rd Hokage.
Sarutobi?
Yes.
I almost put
He was so
the
dope in
second
that
Hokage
ninja.
on my list. He almost made that list.
You see, I wouldn't put him as a secondary
True.
character
Oh, yeah.
because you hear of him, but then you don't even see him until like almost the end, and they touch on him very, very little. I would even put the first above him because I mean, obviously, everything pretty much started with the first Hokage, and he basically in some way had a presence, even though they didn't put him in the physical quite yet until much later. But then the 3rd Hokage, though, I feel like from the very beginning, actually, I felt like he was like, in a sense, that a bit of an anchor, especially for that, for the first, I guess, the initial Naruto series. Before his passing, even after his passing, before the chase to Shippuden, there was still that talk of him. He left a hole.
He had a presence, even though he wasn't showing up in the series.
Yeah, and you could even when they found Tsunade, you could still tell there was that hole that he left.
Yeah.
And this fight with Orochimaru was so dope to me. One of my favorite fights from the entire Naruto series from beginning to end.
And what's crazy is it's made really clear that he is really out of shape at that point. He is very much not at his prime.
Yeah.
I mean, he's experienced. He's maybe got a little more experience than in his prime, but physically, power-wise, he's not as fast. He's not as strong. He is, and so, which is just one of those, ooh. He was scary in his prime, basically. Is what
And that's the wild part is like Orochimaru was his student, and at that point you would have considered Orochimaru in his prime, and the fact that he almost beat him. Well, for all intents and purposes, he beat Orochimaru, but he sacrificed his life.
Orochimaru had to viciously cheat and like really tilt the odds in his favor.
Yeah,
he literally had to rely on super zombies. If it had been a 1-on-1 fight, no contest. I don't think.
He caught those hands. Yeah, he caught those hands
And he
hard.
washed his hands.
So that's 3. Kuroko no Basket. Akashi.
Kakashi.
who are you trying to talk about right now?
Emperor I, dude.
Oh, okay. You can't.
Akashi. There we go.
He can't be. No. I am going to fight you on this one. I am going to fight you on this one.
Well, he starts standing. Oh.
No, he is the antagonist. He is the ultimate antagonist. He's literally the leader of Miracle. He's the leader of the generation of miracles. Not only is he that, he's on the best team in Tokyo, Japan. He is not only on the best team, he is the captain of the best team.
All right.
So much so that the coach doesn't even coach when he plays.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm fighting you on this one. Nope. Strike that out the list. Strike it out.
All right. Sheesh.
Man, I stirred some stuff up with my restrictions here.
Yeah, you did.
Trying to make y'all think, I guess.
Think
And you
too
did.
much.
All right.
good one.
While I try to fill that in,
Watch how to process everything. Let's move on.
Water. Does it come back?
okay.
So Jessica Jones.
I'm not even done. I'm done. Okay, at this point, I've given 3. My fourth was shot down. My fourth was shot down. My next one, I would say Kobe from One Piece. I like Kobe. I enjoy Kobe. I like this transformation. It's still happening.
I mean, I guess he's secondary. Yeah.
I haven't seen this.
They can't even.
Yeah, I
they
mean,
can't even
I don't
tell.
ask questions. I like.
I mean, it could be either or. He'd be either secondary or like
A side character,
side
but
character.
I feel like though with the way they're building his story, he will eventually become, and that's why
I think it'll be more
put
involved
him.
definitely in the New World. So
That's why I'm putting him on this list. He's one of those kids that was a crybaby, and when he got scared, he couldn't move, couldn't do anything.
he's gonna become an admiral,
And his
He's
goal
gonna
is to
take
become
AOTG's
an
level.
admiral.
I'm calling it.
That
Calling it.
and so that's his goal. So he's achieving something, and definitely when you see him another time, you see that transformation, and he becomes a much not necessarily. He's stronger in his own right. He definitely can for the most part. Pretty much hold his own for the most part, and in a way, but I'm just kind of excited to see where they take him next, and I like the character development that they've done for him. Lastly, oh god, oh shoot, now I gotta figure out this.
I'm not gonna.
I'm
hold
gonna
my
say
back
Rock.
at this point.
Wait, who?
Guys, I know who his last one is. Ponygon from Zatch Bell.
Oh heck no! Absolutely not. No,
Personally, I think he was.
I'm gonna say. Actually, you know what? No,
Folgore.
I'm gonna say Rock Lee.
Sweet,
Hey.
sweet, sweet.
Oh, solid.
Rock Lee.
Sweet, sweet. I can't even.
Rock Lee, as we all know, that
Oh, that's how you
that
say
the
his name?
kid
I say
who felt he didn't have the talent, much talent, and he had to literally start from the bottom, and
I mean, him and his dad were both getting roasted. That's a pretty sad childhood.
Bro, his dad looked like Mario, man. His dad was a
See, like,
bro.
Look, his dad's getting roasted by real people. That's how bad they.
His dad was a getting.
oh no,
Man, let this man prosper, yo. Let this man prosper.
but
How come you can't level up your because they're that weak?
definitely
Must have
his
some-
fight with Gaara for me is always top 5. Always top 5 in that entire series.
During the original Naruto.
I think for the entire series.
You know, he almost
I
lost
think
an arm leg. I mean,
just even for it being that early, it's one of the fights that definitely resonates the most through the entire series, especially for Rock Lee himself.
yeah,
I
because
mean,
I can go back and watch that fight. Like, it's always dope going back and watching it every once in
Yeah.
a while.
And the fact that I think people still talk about it, even though the series is done, or how far it's come with so many good fights that they had. I think that's why I think it deserves a top 5 slot. It may be slotted at the bottom for some people, maybe slotted at the top for others, but I think it deserves to be in the top 5, personally. So, all right, moving on. What's next?
Netflix is on point. Why?
Jessica
Why is
Jones.
Netflix is always on point?
That's why.
Like think about
Not only that.
like the last 9 series they put out are Netflix exclusive movies.
Well, hold up. I think that Netflix started Netflix and Chill.
We're gonna ignore that.
Sliding past that.
And we can't even talk about Hulu.
Like,
We know. Hulu's
these
low-
ads, man. Hulu's
Hulu's
trying, but
low-key.
these ads are
And
grass.
then they make you pay $2 to $3 extra just to.
Alright, so if you want to watch, if like me, I don't have cable at my folks' place, so Netflix and Hulu and Crunchyroll and all that other jazz is what I go through. But the reason I prefer Netflix is because I pay $8 a month, no ads. I get to watch my show. Yeah, it's a season behind, but like if I wanted to watch regular TV, I just watch regular TV, and if I wanted to watch it without ads, it's called ad block, Hulu. I'm not paying you extra money. And if you do pay extra money, it goes from like $8 to like $12. $12 a month, 12. But nope, not doing it. Anyway, everything that's put out in the last, I think earlier in the year we talked about Beast of No Nation.
Oh yes,
fantastic. If you guys haven't watched that, you guys absolutely need to watch it. It's an amazing look into the real life cost of war and like child soldiers and it's just a really amazing
every
movie.
time I watch it, I think of the song by Lupe Fiasco, "Little Weapon," which talks on child soldiers.
Yeah, it's an amazing look. It's a real, and like they pull no punches. Like they show everything and discuss everything, and it's good. I think Netflix it's not quite on the HBO side where like there's clapping cheeks every 2 seconds, but like it's also like not like Disney Channel either. So Jessica Jones came out, and I was like, all the years I haven't paid attention to it at all the conventions. When they talked about the show, I was like, this sounds dumb. It sounds like Elementary, where Sherlock is like in New York and Watson is a woman. Don't get me wrong, I think it's an awesome idea. It's an execution. It just doesn't fit. I would much rather watch, the Netflix Sherlock version with Benedict Cumberbatch and the other guy. I can never remember. The guy who plays Bilbo Baggins.
Martin Freeman?
Yeah.
I think?
Yeah. That is phenomenally done. Beast of No Nation, Jessica Jones. If Tim wants to, we could probably talk about a few episodes, but Netflix is, I feel like, just in their prime right now, they're just offering amazing content. Jessica Jones is like a superhero TV show set in the superhero world that you know very well, but it's exploring that mid-level where DC guys like us, we don't go. We don't go to that mid-level Marvel universe. No. I don't care. Like, I mean, honestly, I kind of felt dumb. Like, Luke Cage is in this.
Yes.
Yeah.
From the beginning, right?
Yeah.
Literally, like, episode 1, he's in there. And I was like, there's a black guy. I was like, oh, interracial. That's cool. And then she says Luke. I'm like, oh, this is Luke Cage.
I didn't know it was Luke Cage.
I didn't realize it was Luke Cage either. And I was like, so this is...
That much I knew before.
The
I haven't
great
watched
part
it
about
yet.
it is now they don't even have to do an origin story for Luke Cage because we're seeing part of his origin story now. Not to mention they're going to do the Luke Cage thing, and then they're going to bring in the rest of the Daredevil crew, and then probably do like another...
I want to say I've heard they're doing Iron Fist as a series.
Yes, that's
and so we'll have, at that point, we'll have had probably 2 seasons of Daredevil, a season of Jessica Jones, a season of Luke Cage, a season of Iron Fist, and then I believe they're going to do a team series. I think they're calling it Defenders.
Yeah.
Am I right?
I honestly, I pay zero attention to things on that level unless it's video game related. If it's Fallout, I can tell you when they started.
That's fair. That's fair.
I can tell you when they started concept art because I know.
No, that's fair. But yeah, I want to say that's kind of where it's going. So Netflix kind of has. I feel like Netflix has almost said. Netflix and Marvel sat down and are like, you want to have a plan? I want to have a plan. You want to have a plan? I want to have a plan. They have a plan, and they're going with it.
And it's so far, it's working out fantastic.
Yeah.
Like, okay, even going like further back into like their catalog, like the very, very first season of House of Cards, fantastic. I think the show has gone a little wayward since, but it's still an amazing show. Orange is the New Black. I watched the first season. I couldn't really keep up with it after that.
I just watched the first season.
It's just weird now. I think it's amazing. I think all the women on the show are amazing actors. I think definitely deserve everything that they're getting. I mean, I think that show single-handedly has had more female African-American Emmy winners than anything else. But I just don't, it's just not
But that
for me.
show at the same time, I think, propelled to a higher status before House of Cards, I think, which helped.
I think House of Cards was more famous first. But I might be wrong about that.
I mean, I'm not. Well, obviously, we know House of Cards is now at a status. I think that is much higher than Orange is the New Black, at least in my opinion. But
Different strokes for different folks. But Netflix is just on point, and like that brings me to my personal question. We talked about subscription-based services like Loot Crate. Apparently, this month's Loot Crate is on point, but do you feel like things like Spotify Premium, Apple Music, Netflix, Hulu, do you feel like the things they're giving you in return for the money, because you are paying them, you are paying for a service, do you feel like it is worth what you pay? I mean, and there's different tiers. I mean, there are people who probably pay $20 a month for Netflix because they have DVD players. They get DVDs. People do that in this universe. I don't. Personally, I have a PS4 and Xbox One. I don't own a single Blu-ray because I don't care. Because I would much rather watch it digitally anyway. Personally, that's how I feel about it.
I definitely don't mind paying at all, especially for Spotify. I love it. It's been good to me. Like, I haven't had any problems. Don't got to deal with ads. I can, like, save the music to my phone, make playlists, and do all that stuff. I can even play on my computer, like, select a song on my phone, play on my computer, PS4, do stuff like that. So, that's really, like, the only thing I pay for. And I pay for this month of Netflix just so I can watch Jessica Jones.
I mean, you just got on my Netflix to watch it.
Right.
Bro, you signed out. I was like...
I have a phone, dog.
At the time, you didn't have it.
You right. You right. Speaking of that, we'll talk about that in the money list.
Well, you know what?
It's cool.
I got this month. I'm about to cancel after this, so it's all good. Don't worry about it.
So, for me,
Your free trial.
it depends. It depends on what it is and really what you're trying to do. Like, I have Apple Music. Apple Music is basically Spotify. There's a lot of features like Spotify.
Just better.
There are some aspects that are better. For one, the payment. You can have up to 6 people on one plan and pay $15 a month instead of doing an individual, which is $10 a month. So I mean, there is that. So that to me was like, oh, let me put my siblings on it, save some money. And then like, for example, when Drake released his Hotline Bling video, I could watch it via Apple Music because that's how he released it before it even hit the internet. Because there's a way they have this whole connect thing where you can follow artists and then you go to like a little section in the app and it shows like it's almost like Facebook or Twitter where they post stuff so you can hear songs that they have ideas for. I heard a song from one of the artists I follow, Zed. He's like, hey, I'm doing a contest. It's this song. Let me hear your verse on it, and if I like it, I may bring you to the studio to record it. That was on Apple Music, and I'm like, we can do this now. We can communicate with the public in such a way that I didn't realize that was necessarily possible. So I guess it ultimately just depends on what you want to do and how you want to go about it. But I think for the most part, generally they are worth it.
I don't know. Hulu's not worth it. Hulu is not worth it. These ads, man. These ads.
Okay.
These ads.
Let me.
And if you here's the thing. And if you have Hulu,
He has so much
and
on his
you
mind
pay,
right now.
and you have ad block, they're just gonna show you a blank screen for a minute and a half. I'm like,
Well, so
if you can't tell, I really hate ads. Like, I really hate ads. And if this show ever starts doing ads, it's gonna be in a way that's non-invasive, non-intrusive. I know that whole last segment sounded like a big pitch for like Netflix. We're not sponsored by Netflix. We're not sponsored by PlayStation. We ain't getting no money out here.
Nobody.
But the budget's
man
still
is
going
still
up.
not invaded the podcast yet, so we still out here just doing whatever we feel like. Like, I'm sick. I just came in to say a few things, and I'm here.
And my knee hurts a lot.
Your knee hurts.
Bro, like my legs get...
How do you think I feel?
My leg is so cold right now.
Other people have other problems, like
Right.
ads, guys. Let's
Like
talk about
ads.
this.
So I think the consensus, it sounds like, is that
We hate ads.
we hate ads. That's consensus
First.
number 1. Consensus 2 would be that subscription-based services or fee-based services or
Yeah.
however you
All
want to
good
say
except for Hulu.
it's the concept is good. It's the quality varies. It just depends on who it is. So Hulu bad, Netflix good. This others. In
Funimation I actually like a lot. Funimation like shows me like it's got like fairy tale on there, classic stuff. But over the summer I discovered this anime called Gangsta, which is just so out of the realm of any anime I typically watch. It's more gun based and like short of like Black Lagoon and Full Metal, which
was good.
Yeah, Full Metal. I know there's magic in there, but like. It's not really. It's more based in like real world, and it's more augmented people versus like powers. And these are just soldiers who are in battle, and they had experiments done on them, and they had consequences. And so, like, I like that there's a real human element. You really feel like these characters are just they live in a world where horrible atrocities happen every day, and they're just trying to survive.
I feel like that when I watch One Piece sometimes.
Yeah.
There are snail phones.
Snail phones. No, but yeah, so like Funimation, I really like. I still can't commit to. I can't commit to Loot Crate. Like it's just too inconsistent. Like this month, the Combat Box had some really dope stuff in there, but it's like Fallout, Blizzard. Those two alone, I would have paid for. But then like I guess it was just a bunch of other filler items. There's an exclusive bobblehead in there. Like it's a exclusive Loot Crate Funko Pop bobblehead from Fallout. So I'll probably end up breaking down and buying it just because I'm addicted to Fallout. Literally addicted to Fallout. If you looked at my Pip-Boy, it'd say addicted to Fallout. Yeah, I'm playing a lot of Fallout. On that note, let's talk about Fallout.
You have a serious problem, sir.
Yeah.
No, Fallout is
anyone
good.
here playing Fallout? You playing Fallout? Or you
I'm playing
work?
I don't have a copy of Fallout yet. At some point I will play it. I've
Do
played
you
Fallout.
want a copy of Fallout?
At some point maybe. I don't have a system to play it on yet.
You don't have a BT? I can help you out, brother.
No, at some point we'll do that, but
Cool.
or maybe I'll just come over here and steal yours for a while.
I'm not gonna say no, but we'll figure something out. Anyway, Goddard and myself and most of my Xbox Live and PlayStation 4 friends was just playing Fallout right now.
Yeah.
But
We're still waiting for Ninja Storm 4.
still waiting for Ninja Storm 4. But I think like the game released to a lot of fanfare, yes, but a lot of I think mixed opinions about the game. Most people who talk about the game love it. They like it. They can't get enough of it. I think that's a song somewhere, but no, we're gonna slide right past that. But a lot of people are understandably disappointed and a little upset. I don't think upset is the right emotion, but they're just not quite satisfied.
They're irritated. I think irritation might be a better word.
Okay, maybe irritated. So let's discuss. Perturbed. Perturbed is a good one.
Yeah.
Let's talk.
I like that vocabulary, sir.
Yeah, that's okay.
Word of the day.
3 things I really want to talk about. Number 1 is the glitches.
The glitches are there.
The game is very glitchy. I don't care what system you're on. The game is very glitchy.
Yes.
Somebody told me that's not even on Xbox. I'm like,
What
yes,
do you
it
mean
is.
it's not?
Glitches. Someone's like, yeah, you just playing on PS4. That's all it is. I'm like, no, they're glitched on Xbox too.
Yeah, there's plenty of glitches on Xbox. I know because I'm playing it. I'm experiencing them on a daily
I'm
basis.
experiencing
Sometimes
that
the
too.
glitches help me out. Like I was getting attacked by like a feral ghoul, and for some reason I just ran out of ammo. But he like jumped at me and fell through the world, and then popped back up. But he was stuck in the ground, so I literally just stepped on his face till he died. I just kicked him until he died.
Wow.
But then sometimes
Savage.
it's like I'll be trying to just. Sometimes I'm just like walking through the world, and character will freeze. Like I have this issue where when I really enjoy like the settlement building and the weapon crafting, but sometimes when I go into like the edit mode and I come back out, I'm stuck in this weird like first person. It's almost like a free camera mode, but it's not what I want to do. I can't run. I can't see my character. I can't change screens. I'm basically just a moving camera, and then I have to hit start, and then it fixes itself. For people, I think I said this last episode, and I'm sorry if I sound repetitive and I sound like a broken record, but people have been waiting for this game for 7 years, and if I were to load a game and get killed by a feral ghoul simply because the game is broken, not because of anything I did, but the game is fundamentally not broken, but like it's not complete.
It's not performing as expected.
It's not performing as expected. If I waited 7 years, like if Skyrim comes out and these problems are on there, I'm gonna have a real issue with Bethesda. And I love the Elder Scrolls series. So if I said Skyrim, I meant Skyrim 2. Again, I'm sick. I apologize. Elder Scrolls 6. If Elder Scrolls 6 releases and it's still as buggy as Fallout 4 is, like we're gonna have to have a conversation with Bethesda. At some point, it's cute and it's like, oh, it's a Bethesda game, it's expected. But it's 2015. Like Todd Howard, I love you guys. Like please, like
Hire more QA.
there's some things that should have just been fixed in QA, just like, and enemies like literally walking past you, and then they realize that they saw you, and then they turn around like, oh yeah, that's a bad guy. Now let's shoot him. Like, not because my sneak was high. I wasn't even sneaking. I was literally standing in a corner, and I went to go get food, and I came back, and the enemy walked right past me, and then they turned around, and I was like, oh yeah, you're a bad guy. Now I'm gonna shoot you, and I'm like, okay. There's a lot of little things like the dog has gotten me killed on multiple occasions.
I left him long time ago. I'm sorry. I'm running around with a
dog meat is a
with
fantastic
big
companion. There's so many glitches involving the dog, which I think they should have. If you're gonna have, the dog is basically on the cover of the game. You might as well be on the cover of the game.
I think every trailer I've seen,
every single trailer that dog
in
is in it. He's basically a main character. You can kind of get one of the end level weapons pretty early on. As soon as you get the dog, you can go back to a certain point in the game and get pretty much a weapon you're not supposed to get until you're at least level 25. And you can get it right there just because there's a glitch with the dog. And I'm not gonna say it. I don't like doing glitches or breaking, because I feel like once you do that point, what's the point of the game? There's an unlimited caps glitch where you can pretty much just there's a trading system, and if you can bug the trading system to where you can just pretty much clean out any trader in the game for everything they're worth. And at that point, then what's the point in playing the game? What's the point in discovering weapons? What's the point in like chasing after a particular weapon? Because there was this
World Conquest.
Yeah, I mean, I was fighting a boss level monster, and I really could have used a mini nuke launcher.
I found one. I just found one.
That sense of excitement. That
Sound like Kermit.
that sense of excitement when you like. Then they even like. I found one. Exactly. They're legendary enemies who drop legendary weapons in the game, and some of them are great. Some of them I feel are undeserving of their legendary status. But that's just a design thing that we could argue about for years. But I think it's cool. But like if you can pretty much just like at the start of the game go to a single trader, do this glitch, all of a sudden you have unlimited ammo for every single weapon type, and you have any kind of armor you want from the very start, then what's the point in playing the game? So I don't do glitches. I personally just don't. I think they break the experience. The second thing I want to talk about is the systems, particularly the weapon building and the leveling up. They're great. They could be a lot better because they don't tell you anything.
They really don't.
What?
They don't tell you
you level up, and then all of a sudden you add a perk. So you put a star onto that perk, but then I'm trying to figure out like, okay, so what next? Like,
my thing
what have I just leveled up in terms of this aspect of that ability?
What does that want to do exactly?
Yeah.
And like I know a lot of people are gonna say, oh, it's just simplify micromanaging, but you look at how like Diablo with Reaper of Souls, I think they did it fantastically. You have your base stats, and then you have your level. Once you max out, you have Paragon levels, and you can't like change in your base stats, but what you can do is add a percentage, so like you're 3% faster, you do 10% more critical damage. Those like 50% more damage with non-automatic rifles, that's there. But 50% from what? 50% from 10 damage, 50% from 50% damage, 50% from my base damage stat, 50% damage from my base damage stat plus my weapon stats, 50% from my weapon stats. Like, it doesn't tell me.
It just gives you general stuff.
Yeah, and like it's like in Skyrim, it's not that big of a problem because you're whacking something with a sword. Eventually, it'll die. But in Fallout, where there's I mean honestly, in Skyrim,
it's very true.
I mean, I tell everybody this. In Skyrim, I almost always play a sneaky build because you do 10% at the start of the game. You do 3% sneak damage bonus. So your damage is multiplied by 3 just because you're sneaking if you successfully do it. You can get to the point where in Skyrim you can do like 50% bonus damage because there's a sword.
Or times 3.
I was like times 30. Yeah.
Well,
So you're telling me times 3. Yeah. So in Skyrim there's a perk that gets you times 10 sneak damage. There's also a dagger that doubles your like max damage. So it's like I've seen someone like literally one-shot a dragon in Skyrim. That's kind of broken.
What?
Yeah. Yeah, if you watch the video, he
smells like hard.
Yeah, he like one shot a dragon. He was sneaking. He was invisible.
Dragon Slayer.
Went up to a dragon, like poked the dragon with the dagger, and the dragon just fell over. Just fell over the side of the mountain.
I also
Kinda
saw the crowd.
Clearly, it was just a dagger of dragon slaying.
You would think. I mean, no. It just does that against everything. It's amazing. It's I mean, I think it's fun, and it takes a while to get there. Don't get me wrong. You just can't like sneak into a cave and just start one-shotting Deathclaws. No, they'll eat you alive. But they don't. Again, it's not. I feel like they should have taken another 6 months, and this might be sacrilegious. Someone's waited 7 years. I feel like they could wait another 6 months for polish. I'm happy with the game. Like I said, I bought the Pip-Boy. I own Collector Strategy Guide, the Ultimate Strategy Guide that just released on Friday is on its way here. There's a couple things I'm picking up on Black Friday, so I know a couple places have like actual Vault Boy bobbleheads. I'm going to own all of them. Like I have all the special ones on back order, but there's also like,
All 7?
all 7, and then there's all 20 bobbleheads. So I have those on back order too.
Bobbleheads? What are the other bobbleheads
So there's
for?
the speed skill, the sneak.
Well-
those aren't considered special. Like special is strength, perception.
The main 7.
So the special ones, I
special,
I
okay.
have those on back order. The original Vault Boy he just has his thumb out. I have that one on back order, and then there's like all 20 bobblehead. There's like a set. I have those on back order. So I was spending a ridiculous amount of money on Fallout already. I could care less. I love the game. Buy it, play it, but it's broken.
I had heard, I think I saw something, maybe it was on like Facebook, because they had a bajillion little trending stories, something about patches incoming for the game, and I'm like, that's kind of telling if it's like, what are we at, 2 weeks, 3 weeks out now, something like that, and they're already rushing patches out. It's kind of like, stuff happens, but ugh.
And again, we have seen worse. Like, Assassin's Creed Day 1 was unplayable. Assassin's Creed Unity. Assassin's Creed Syndicate is fantastic, play it. Tomb Raider is fantastic, play it. But Assassin's Creed Unity was basically unplayable. We have seen worse. We've actually seen, like, trailers the day before, and then the game comes out and looks nothing like the trailer. Like, where's this content you promised that is not here? Watch Dogs. That happened with Watch Dogs and some other games. But the last thing I want to say is it overwhelming to have so much freedom? This is kind of a discussion topic. In video games in general, I love the fact that I can go wherever I want. I don't know what level I am anymore. I stopped caring. I just now completed like the 3rd main story mission. I just now found a certain character who leads you to help you. I don't want to get into spoilers at all, but I just now found a certain character who helped me down the main story path.
We're basically in the same
Yeah.
area.
But I've done like 90, at least 90 side missions. I've saved so many old women and cats from trees and raided so many things. At this point, I'm just like, I don't even know.
I got an entire village mad at me.
Yeah,
I don't an entire community mad at me because
I
of
feel
the
like
choice
if I
I
play
made.
that game, I will not go with the main story at all.
See, that's the thing. Like,
I would
at
just
some
go in the
point-
game and live.
Do some people stop caring? I want. If anyone's listening, I want you to write in. At some point, do you stop caring about... If a game is too big, do you stop caring about the main story and just live in the world? Because right now, I'm just kind of existing. Like, to me, there's a built-in sense of urgency from the very start. But for me, there's nothing, like, reminding me, like, hey, you should be doing this right now. Or maybe it's just the way I'm built. Because, like, I played The Witcher, and I did one main story mission, and then I played Gwent for like 45 hours. I'm going to go back to that game. I will eventually beat it on hardest difficulty because I just like doing that. But and don't get me wrong, I want them to do this more. I want them to develop this idea that they have. I want them to fully flesh it out and clean it up and make it look pretty for Elder Scrolls 6. Because I want to live in that world. I want to see what part of the universe we're going to be in. But at one point, at what point is a game too big? We have had 3 ginormous games this year: The Witcher, Metal Gear, and now Fallout. I have all 3. Have I beaten all 3? No way. I don't know when. I'll probably be 30 by the time I beat all 3 to the level of my satisfaction. Because to me, I want all the achievements. I will get all the achievements. But not only that, I want to see what exists in the world. I want to discover those stories that they don't really tell you. Like, in one of the early stages of the game, there's this building. You go up in this building. There's 2 skeletons, and obviously they died when the nuke dropped. But one guy is strangling somebody over a locked safe, and if your skill is high enough, you get to get in the safe and you discover why somebody's strangling. You see two skeletons strangling each other, and you're like, hey, I wonder what happened there. If you really want to, you can find out. And there's all these little stories that are just kind of littered in the world. I enjoy learning about those, and I'm definitely a completionist. I know it's an older generation thing. Kids these days kind of want to play it, beat it, move on to the next game.
Heck no.
Yeah. So, at what point does the game start being too big? John, do you have an answer for that?
Well, I feel like there's no one answer there, because I mean, as you're talking about this, and I'm thinking through some of the games I've played, I mean, like you mentioned something about you felt like the game was trying to give you a sense of urgency, but you're just doing all the side missions, and I feel like there's kind of two things there. On the one hand, there's in my mind, fully positive of the game isn't just like your full hardcore main story. This is all there is to the game thing. You know, that's, I mean, taking that to its fullest fruition gets you games like the, I think like the Call of Duties and whatnot, where, you know, the games where there's like 10 hours of gameplay and that's it, and it's, okay, there's your story, you're done. So that's, I mean, yeah, and then it's just multiplayer. And I mean, you know, if there's listeners out there who love those games and live, breathe them, awesome. But for me, that's not enough. Yeah. But if the game is going to give an open world, I think it needs to let you do something with it. So it needs to either be like, you know, Bethesda games and all these where you have side missions, you have things you can go do, or the only other one that comes to mind that's, okay, it's totally open would basically be something like Minecraft. Technically, well, not technically, you don't have missions in Minecraft, but because of the way the game works, you can manipulate everything. And that's kind of the thing that I was thinking about with Fallout 4 is I know one of the big selling points of the game is not just, oh, it's big, there's a lot, there's more missions, more story, more this, more that. You were talking about, you can customize your weapons, you can customize your armor, you can build more than one town. So even aside from the side missions, there's that stuff. So that's good. But I think, you know, we talk about urgency in games. I think the issue that comes into play there is, you know, they want to make it sound like it's urgent when they write the scripts and, you know, build the mission, whatever. But video games, there's only so much you can do for urgency in a video game because the whole point is that you're able to pause, save, set it down, and come back later. You're not playing it in real time, you know. So, I mean, how do you give urgency in a video game? I think that's the big question. I mean, do you track time played? And so, like, say there's a mission, you have to go, like, on the small scale they do it, you know, you have 10 minutes to do this, or you have an hour to do this, whatever. But for a main overarching story, you have to anticipate that it's going to take you 30 hours, 40 hours, 50 hours, whatever, you know, however many hours they say, you know, that's one of the figures anymore they like to put out there is this game has this many hours of content. Or like this many hours of main story and this many hours of side content. So, I mean, it's one of the things that I think is a strength and a weakness at the same time of the video game medium. Yeah. The medium itself, I think. It's not even the industry, it's the medium. It's something that I think is still being explored. I mean, in a movie, obviously, the sense of urgency is, you know, the movie has a set time limit, and they say, you know, they may say, oh, this much time has passed. A book, in some ways, kind of does the same thing. You're reading it, and they say, okay, it's been 3 days, and they have 2 days left to do this thing or whatever. You know, talking from my experience, when you're playing a tabletop role-playing game and you're sitting around, it's kind of like a video game in that you have pauses because you can't get through. If it's a larger story campaign, you're not going to get through it in one night or one day or even one weekend, you know, like 2 days in a row or whatever. So it's going to take you more time than that. So you have to, essentially, you put it on pause. But when it's not on pause, I think there's the way that those games work, you know, there's a little more freedom because you have an actual person controlling the world, essentially. You have the game master. So we can't match that in a video game. You know, as smart as game AIs can be, they're not an actual person sitting there interacting with you saying, okay, so how much time are you going to take to do this? Scribble, 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 roll some dice just to roll some dice. Everybody around the table starts to sweat. I've been there. It happens. They like doing that. So you can't organically insert urgency with a video game because you don't have somebody at the other end. I mean, not in a non-MMO or something like that.
Yeah.
So
and
I think that's kind of the answer there. As far as how big is too big, I don't think there's an answer for that. I think it just depends on the quality of the game.
I know that there is one thing that lets you know your game is too big, and that's if you have a system in which people can order pizza from the game.
that was
tragic, and that's what I think. I think if people are getting that submerged inside the game, it's probably a little bit too big.
now,
At least for that person.
And like, here's my thing: like, these games are ginormous, but we have, I think, Elite Dangerous just came out. It's like a space exploratory game. Those people like that game, fantastic. I'm not touching that game. There's a thing, and like this is still somehow, I don't get it. It is somehow smaller than No Man's Sky, which is still yet to come out. There's something like 13 billion planets
that you can explore.
you can explore. You can
Because
explore.
No Man's Sky is based on the
No.
algorithm.
This is Elite. This is Elite Dangerous.
Okay.
No Man's Sky has something like 300 billion.
And No Man's Sky
And
is based
expanding.
on an algorithm. There's no really
Yeah.
base. It's basically a giant math problem, and it creates the world as you go. There's no barrier so much.
So in other words, it's not storing all of these pre-made
Yes.
things.
Yeah, and my thing is like, at what point with 300 billion planets, at what point does something become repetitive? Because you can only see a glowing star-eyed fish so many times before you're like, I'm done with this game. But like, at the point they were at 32-bit and they were moving up to 64-bit. At that point, if you spent only 1 second on every planet, it would take you 390,000 years to explore every planet in No Man's Sky. At 34 bits, they're moving up to 64 bits. Why? Why?
That is probably
That is the thing that makes no sense to me. People are beyond excited for this game. I can't wait to check it out.
I'm actually excited
probably
for it
gonna
myself.
buy a PlayStation VR just for this game. That's how excited I am for it.
Wait, and it's VR?
Yeah, I don't know if it's VR, but if it isn't, it's a big miss. I mean, if people like Greg Miller and Colin Moriarty on the PlayStation podcast, PS I Love You XOXO, have discussed this to extent. So go listen to them. They're industry experts. They're probably the two people I trust in this industry as far as PlayStation are concerned. Those two, yeah, go listen to them. If it's anything concerning PlayStation, go listen to Greg Miller and Colin Moriarty. They have a PlayStation podcast called PS I Love You XOXO. It's a love letter to PlayStation, and they're doing phenomenally. So if you want to learn more about that, go listen to that podcast. But it's like, it's a giant universe. It's all first person. It is probably the best property that can come packaged with PlayStation VR, if not built for VR. Like, it's even when they're showing trailers for it at E3, the gameplay, it was all widescreen. You see the little black on top, the little black on the bottom, and the world around you. So it just seems like it fits. And the trailer they showed was some like sports game, and it looked cool. But to me, I was like, No Man's Sky looks amazing. Would look amazing on this. And I think a lot of industry experts are suspecting and expecting this will come out as either a PlayStation VR exclusive or definitely one of the launch titles type thing.
It would make sense. I mean, from what you're saying, it makes sense.
Yeah, and then so we're waiting PlayStation, PSX December, so it's around the corner. I think we've got like a week or two before it comes out till it starts. I think it's the first week of December, so 2 weeks.
Jeez.
I'm saying this now. I don't know if it's gonna happen, but Sony, come out on the stage, say whatever you're gonna say. Midway, that little lull that usually happens to the conference, come out with Shu Yoshida and just announce the price of PlayStation Plus is going up $10, but for that, we are including PlayStation Now. You're going to get all PlayStation 1 games backwards compatibility starting now. Please, I will forget about the name change thing for a while if they do that. And I have been campaigning for this. I am begging for this. PlayStation Network is an amazing product. What they offer is brilliant. I haven't been on my PlayStation much because I'm playing Fallout on my Xbox. But I feel like PlayStation Network is an amazing product. What they offer is good. But PlayStation Now is garbage. I understand they purchased Gaikai for, I don't know, $13 million or whatever, and that's how they want to do backwards compatibility. And it makes sense that they want to do it as a streaming service. So that way they're not putting the cell processor from the PS3 into the PS4, therefore making it more hard to develop for, therefore making it more costly. But I feel like that is a good solution. And, I mean, the numbers haven't come back for backwards compatibility. It released on November 12th for the Xbox One. The numbers haven't come out for how many backwards compatible games are being played and how many hours they're being played, so we don't know if the market really wants this. I mean, the people say that they love it, but is the market truly reflecting that, you know?
And I feel like that's something we would want to give it. So you said it was the beginning of November?
December.
November? Oh, for the Xbox.
Yeah, the beginning of November. So, November 12th was when it went live, yeah.
I mean, maybe this is just like my stats class from college speaking, but like as just an offhand number, I would want to see like a solid like 3 months of numbers, you know, because that would take us through the Christmas season into the new year. So, you know, that's, you know, time periods where people will be getting games, people will be having time off, you know, snow days, etc., etc. And I feel like that would give us a really good idea of the numbers. Like 2 weeks of numbers is, I mean, yeah, I don't feel like that would be enough. But like 3 months, you know, a year is a lot to expect. But 3 months would give us a good sample of, is this really a big thing?
Yeah,
or is it not?
and I think that makes sense. And maybe that's what they're waiting to see. Maybe they are, I mean, I don't know. And I think from what I've heard from listening to Podcast Beyond, PS I Love You XO, people generally enjoy PlayStation now. They pay the extra $30 and they pay to rent the game that they want to rent. So that way the kid can try out Super Monkey Boy or whatever game that they're trying out while dad is playing Fallout. So there are people who use it and enjoy it and like it. I just don't. I feel like, first of all, I feel like the price tag is too high. And again, it's all kind of been leading to this. It's a subscription-based service, but I don't think the value is worth it. For like, I already paid $50 a month, or yeah,
$50 for the year.
$50 for the year for PSN. Why should I have to pay another $35? Not only have to pay $35 just to get access to this service, I then have to rent the game when I could go to Best Buy or GameStop and find the same game used for 99 cents. No, I'm not renting it for $5.99.
So the rentals, the rentals cost money. Ooh,
yes.
yeah, ooh.
Yeah, it's like you pay for before you can even access PlayStation now, you have to have PlayStation Plus. So you're either paying on a monthly basis or yearly basis. If anyone listening to this, buy PlayStation Plus and Xbox Live on a yearly basis because you save so much more money. Anyway, then you have to buy access to PlayStation Now. You get a free month. And then you have to rent the game. Granted, rentals are like anywhere from 20 to 90 days, but I'm not paying $15 to rent Lightning Returns, the PS3 version, for 90 days. Never. That game
You might as well buy it.
That game costs $12. And honestly, like if I just worked like 3 extra shifts, I could just buy a PS3 and buy that game and play it whenever I want.
Well, I mean, talking about this, like, I would contrast that with, I believe is it GameFly? It's basically Netflix for games.
Yes. And like,
I don't know how quality it is.
Yeah, I think
and it's
I've heard
rental
good
of the hard copy, if you will. But I mean, it's a set monthly price. And it's like Netflix. It's if you have one game for that whole time, you have one game. If you like swap in 5 games or whatever, you get the 5 games. You know, and they probably have a streaming. They're probably going to get a streaming service there or the equivalent.
I think GameFly should be working on some sort of digital distribution content, some way to like figure out how to digitally distribute content. I think it'd be fantastic, but I don't know. We'll see. I'm excited for PSX. I don't want to call myself a new PlayStation guy because for the longest time I had a PlayStation 2. Like, honestly, I was so late to the PlayStation 2 game that I had it for most of the 360 PS3 generation. I, like, skipped out on the PS3, but I don't think like I missed much until the very end. And at that point, all those games got ported to my PS4 anyway. Yeah, I had the PlayStation 1. I think I remember telling you guys, like, one of the first times I played Mortal Kombat was on the PlayStation 1 at a carnival. Yeah, so I love PlayStation. I like my Xbox a lot, but I feel I'm more drawn towards PlayStation this generation, which is fine because that's kind of where my allegiances lie. Like, I've always had a Nintendo, always had a Game Boy, but like, I would call myself a PlayStation fan
I almost bought a Nintendo 3DS the other day.
just because Yokai Watch looks so interesting. It's a
I just
knockoff
like to play
Pokemon, but it
Pokemon
looks
again.
really interesting.
I
Yeah.
looked at it and I'm like,
I-
that looks like this Pokemon. That looks like that Pokemon.
Yeah, exactly. And then the other thing is, so we can leave on that, and then we probably should wrap it up soon. But 2 more discussion topics. Nintendo, their Nintendo Direct happened. Did anyone care?
Did that happen?
No.
Yeah, it happened. Did
I
anyone
didn't
really
know that
care?
I missed that it happened.
Yeah, I mean, like, I want to say the diehard Nintendo fans were calling GameStop the minute it ended, trying to pre-order stuff. Cool, good for them. I actually I'm mad. I missed out on the collector's edition of Fire Emblem Fates. It's completely sold out.
Ooh.
Yeah, sold out. Sold out online and in store. Sold out, company wide. Ooh. Yeah,
Ouch.
collector's edition sold out, company wide. I think like 2 days. Yeah, and it's a 3DS game. I think that I have to look it up, but it's definitely one of the fastest selling like 3DS properties that I've personally seen go that fast. So I'm kind of mad I missed out on that. But other than that, they announced Zelda is coming to the Wii U. I listened to some people speculate that it might be one of those things where it comes out on like the end of the Wii U and also gets like ported up for the new system, NX, whatever that
Have they
is.
announced that they're going to have a new system?
Well, they've
I
been
think-
talking about the Nintendo NX
Yeah,
for
and I think
a few
this
years.
they said this is like their last shot at a main console, I believe.
Yeah.
If it flops, then they're
They're going to stick with the handheld market, which is fine because, like,
That's
if
where they-
you go anywhere in the world and somebody's playing a 3DS, you go to any convention in the world, 50% of the population is playing the 3DS. You go to
especially at
Japan,
cons, especially at cons. Oh my god.
go to Japan and 3DSs are everywhere. Vita's
We
everywhere
work
too.
at Walmart and the kids buying a 3DS every other day.
yeah. There's
The
that.
same kid.
So like, I mean, I don't know if it's, I don't know what the profit margins are for them on a 3DS. I probably they're probably making as much as they're losing on the Wii U because that thing
Yeah.
is not selling at all. I kind of want to buy a Wii U just so we can start playing Smash again and have like weekly Super Smash Brothers tournaments in this house because that was one of the good old times. So Black Friday, more than likely we'll have a Wii U, or like by Christmas for sure we're gonna have a Wii U. I'm gonna buy myself one and just play Smash Brothers all day. Anyway, does anyone care what Nintendo is doing, or is like,
The only
Not
thing
gonna lie.
I care about and that I'm worried about is that whole Pokemon Go mobile game. Like
I think
no,
people are
see,
overhyping it. I
See,
think it's
that's
being
what I'm saying.
overhyped.
Like that's the only thing I care about and I'm worried about.
yeah, that would make a lot of sense.
But other than that, I haven't really cared to hear what Nintendo's doing.
Yeah.
They haven't really done anything lately that's like said, "Ooh, I have to go out and get that."
Yeah, even for
No.
me, like Microsoft properties are kind of becoming stagnant. Don't crucify me, but like Halo's Halo, Gears of War is Gears of War. I mean, like. Huge props to Phil Spencer for what they did with the Tomb Raider thing. People don't even know that, like, right now everyone thinks Tomb Raider is an Xbox One exclusive. It is not. It is a 1-year exclusive deal with Xbox, and to the best of my knowledge, it's working out phenomenally. The game came out, it's reviewing fantastic. Some people think it's getting too high scores. Some people think it's a perfect game. In my opinion, there's only been 3 perfect games in the last 30 years. Grand Theft Auto 5, I wouldn't have given it to Metal Gear Solid because I think that game has some problems, especially if you're not a fan. There's a lot of things that you just don't understand. But maybe again, that's just colored through my vision. Grand Theft Auto 5, in my opinion, was a perfect 10. Super Mario Galaxy was a perfect 10, and I probably would have given it to Witcher. Speaking just personally, I probably would have given it to The Witcher. Not even Skyrim. I think Skyrim. Give it a 9.5, but not a perfect 10. I think PlayStation is just the most exciting place right now. They have PlayStation VR going for them. HoloLens, I understand is exciting, but I don't care that much. HoloLens is more augmented reality than actual virtual reality. And I feel like if I want to be that immersed in my game, I'd rather be immersed in my game.
Right.
And there's something to be said to, having situational awareness and like maybe not everyone's as into it as I am, but like if I want to dive, pardon the term for anyone who's watched The Matrix or Sword Art Online, if I want to dive deep into the world,
You want to dive.
Yeah, I want to dive deep into the world. Like, immerse me in it. I want the sounds. I want the feeling. It's almost as weird to say. I kind of want him to do, like, neuro pathways things. So, like, I kind of want to be in the game and be able to smell the world. I want to be able to smell the world.
See, as much as I would love it, I'm scared. See,
let's make that a discussion topic. How do you guys feel about that? Like, actually have, like, sensory, like, you know, systems going on for gaming. Being able to, like, feel it, like...
Some of it is cool, some of it is very, like, goofy. Like, I saw a commercial for this haptic vest for Call of Duty.
I think I saw something about that. Yeah,
that is the dumbest thing I've ever seen in the world. So, like, not only do you wear your $350 850 headphones, then you wear this haptic vest. Supposedly, how it works, it has a bunch of sensors on it, so when you get shot in the game, that part of the vest actually vibrates. So, like, if someone's shooting you from behind, the back of the vest is going to vibrate. But, like, to me, that's sensory overload. That's kind of where I draw the line.
It's like getting dressed to play a game, bro.
Yeah, I'm not, like, I understand, like, expense. I have a $150 controller. Most people do not have that. I have the Xbox Elite controller. It's amazing. Has, like, titanium alloy parts, triggers on the back. It's a $150 controller. That's expensive. For most people. I enjoy having it. I think it does a lot of things well. Like, it took me like about a week and a half to reprogram my mind to think about the triggers. And I don't always like playing with it. But, like, if we're going to go VR, I kind of want it to be the basic 5. Like, sense, smell, touch. And, like, touch might even be too much. Like, maybe just, like, sight and smell would be, like, sufficient for me. Like, if I could, like, feel, like, maybe a light breeze when the breeze is happening in the game, and I could smell, like, fresh cut grass, or I could smell, like, the rust on the cars in Fallout, and there's a pack of super mutants coming, you could, like, smell the decaying skin from the, like,
I think you say that now.
Yeah.
But like, it actually has smell.
Okay, here's my thing. There's some moments in some games where, like, even in Fallout or in Skyrim, I run into a pack of whatchamacallit, a pack of Yetis. I'm not even strong enough to fight them. I'm one of those people that, like, I already feel like I'm in it, especially when I'm playing that character. Mm-hmm. So, like, when I run and all of a sudden I get hit from the side from, like, a blind shot, I get scared. I legitimately jump, and I'm like, oh my god, I can't do
it. So hard in Skyrim, like your character's doing cartwheels in the air.
It's to the point where, like, I'm not even actually in the game, but I feel like I'm in the game. So here I am yelling in my seat, and my character's running. Like, my character's not screaming. I am. Y'all are looking at me like, what's wrong with you?
Any game you play, you're always screaming. So look at you anyway.
Okay. So, and then the same thing with Fallout. Fallout, you got the super mutants. I ran into a village of super mutants by accident. Here I am. I'm running and yelling, even though actually I'm not actually in the game. So for me, if we went VR and it did some of those sensory things, I might pass out.
It's sucked to be in the game physically too. Like when you gotta run.
I think that's too far. I think that's too far. Like,
I refuse.
If you had to, like, run where your character was running, I think it'd probably do some great things for, like, gamers and their health and some other people. But
at that point, give me a Star Trek holodeck. If we're gonna do that, I better be getting a holodeck.
Yeah.
I better not have to strap on. I mean, okay, yeah, going on the whole could do health for you, like, but 50 pounds of gear to feel like I'm in the game. I think I'm kind of with you about the sensory overload. I think, like, smell and touch and stuff, I think that would, I would feel overloaded. Like, I would almost get overloaded with, like, a full over my eyes goggle set, depending on what I was seeing. That would almost be too much.
Yeah, and that's the other thing is, like, first of all, what's the entry price going to be? Second of all, like, I wear glasses. In the room we're all wearing glasses. I don't like things on my face when I'm already wearing my glasses. Yeah. So sometimes, that's why I only buy certain headsets. Certain headsets to just feel weird when they sit on your head. So, like, to have to wear, like, a physical thing on my face and wear my glasses on top of that, that's where I get concerned. So how do they remedy that problem for people like us? Is VR, like, a thing just for, like, the early adopters, the YouTubers, and the famous people? Is that a thing that regular 9-to-5ers can really get into? Is that a thing that can fill the entire market? Do we just get to the point where, like, Facebook was a new thing 5, 6, 7 years ago, and everyone has a Facebook.
7, 8.
Facebook's also free.
Facebook's also free. You're very right. But do we get to the point to where it's just kind of, okay, first world problems, America, 16, almost everyone gets a car at 16.
I didn't.
I didn't get a car until I was 21. But like, is it become commonplace enough to where, and again, there's multiple options. There's PlayStation VR, there's HoloLens, which is AR, there's the Facebook Oculus, there's the Samsung one. Like, does it get to the place to where 4K TVs at one point were like $30,000? You can buy one for arguably
500, 400
now. Does it get to the point where like there's a wide enough range? And obviously with that range is also quality. Is one thing gonna like give you like, oh, I'm on a boat, oh, I physically feel sick, but like, oh, this looks awesome, I'm on a boat, but I don't have that seasickness because it's not swaying every 3 seconds. It's a new market. I'm interested to see where it goes within video games. More interested to see where it goes outside of video games. Like, what's the practicality of like doctors and surgeons like being able to explore the mind, like the physical mind further on a virtual platform? Like maybe they can. I don't know how science works.
Well, we've already kind of seen, talking about that, I've seen some stuff about doctors using, like, because we can kind of get 3D images of the internal body, MRIs, sonograms. There's a multitude of technologies available where we can get interior maps. I saw something about doctors using 3D printing to make, like, a physical model of, I think it was like a kid with a heart defect. And so they could kind of poke at this physical model and figure out, okay, this is how, this is what we want to connect point A to point B, whatever, to fix it. So it was a correctable problem, but they needed a better idea of exactly where everything was. And so, 10 years ago, that would have required them opening the kit up. Now they could do the 3D printing. So VR may be a way for them to not even have to spend the however much money, not a very large amount of money on the plastic or the metal or whatever. As far as what you're talking about, like Facebook and cars, I think the thing with, A, Facebook is free, but B, Facebook, it's been very, 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 very refined over the years. So there's a lot of effort that's gone into making Facebook easy to use. That's why it's so ubiquitous, is because there's not a high
cost of entry.
Cost of entry, yeah, not even necessarily monetary cost of entry, but you don't have to be really good at computers to use Facebook.
Yeah, you're right.
And then, cars, you have to be more skilled with, you have to have some skill with cars, but as far as availability, new ones still cost a lot, but we've got such a range of used cars, and cars have been around since, like, really the 1890s in some form. So we've had over a century of people working on here is a car, here is what a car does, here's how we make cars, here's how we use cars, etc. So there's so much refinement that's gone into cars in the sense of just day-to-day operation. And again, cost of entry is higher monetarily, but skill-wise and ability to use the car, we have roads everywhere. So you can take your car anywhere. I feel like VR, the risk with trying to make VR ubiquitous is that it's going to be harder to give it enough places to go. Like, scientists using it, that's probably going to happen, but that's always going to be a niche market. I think it's a very strong possibility for that niche market for exactly the kind of things you're talking about. Brain mapping, any internal mapping. Messing with it, genomes, anything like that. Video, like hardcore video gaming, but I think it comes back to somebody saying, I already bought my console, I don't want to have to buy this headset and strap a headset on and hold my controller and or maybe they think, oh, this is so awesome, and they strap it on and it's overwhelming. And it's like to use a somewhat shaky analogy, I've read multiple times that back after the first Dirty Harry came out, a whole bunch of people went out and got the .44 Magnum, most powerful handgun in the world. And then shot it like once or twice, and they never used them because they didn't realize that it had an enormous amount of kick. Without making this into like a gun podcast or whatever. Yeah, you could break a wrist with it. because the movies use blanks and whatnot,
And it's a movie.
Yeah, it's a movie, so they don't make it look as difficult to use as it really is.
Yeah.
And so that could be a possibility. Somebody sees a commercial, oh, he's using VR, that looks really cool, and then they go out and buy the VR headset or whatever, the VR, bodysuit, whatever it comes out to be, and then they try to use it, and it's over. Maybe it's sensory overload. Maybe they get motion sickness. There's so many things that could just give, I don't know, speed bumps to it. Stuff in its path, whatever. I'll be interested to see what happens, but I'm not.
You're not going to be an early adopter.
No.
Absolutely not. I don't think anyone... Well, I might actually be an early adopter. I'm extremely interested. I would consider being an early adopter to any, if not all of them. Particularly just because I'm so invested in the gaming community and where it's going. But also just because I think new technologies... And that's another thing. With technology, I feel like iteration comes out faster.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm not against VR headsets in general. I'm just saying I probably wouldn't use it personally because you were saying about, I've already got glasses on my face. I would like to see if we could get more stuff out for and it's something I think that's kind of tried to come in a couple ways, but instead of wearable VR, simulator VR. I mean, obviously our military uses that a lot. Showing some of my own interest here. A couple decades back, there were multiple centers across the U.S. that were, I think they were called battle centers. Basically, it was the game BattleTech, and it was these centers in malls where they would have a couple dozen of these VR pods that you would sit down in, and it would close around you, and it was like you were in the cockpit of one of those battle mechs, And so, you watch the videos now, and it's just super rough graphics. But, I mean, all you would have to do, apparatus-wise, really, is update the server farm, and you could get some really awesome graphics. And, I mean, I've seen, I saw this one YouTube video of a guy who made, in his man cave or whatever, he made this it was basically his own VR pod, primarily for playing, the newest MechWarrior. It was basically a box around him, and his chair was on a slider and had a panel behind it, so he slid it all the way in, and it was enclosed. He had, a subwoofer under his seat. He had, 3 or 4 monitors. He had switches to turn on the computer. He had, ventilation fans. I mean, it was immersive, but he wasn't wearing anything extra. He had put himself in, I guess you'd say, the environment, and he had given himself more tools. The thing with that is it takes up more space, so that's why I'm saying that could be something that we could see in, malls. I know there have been variations on that. And I think that would be a way you could offload the cost of making it, and then you could just, pay, somebody pays $10 and they get an hour in the system, or I don't know, have a party, whatever. I would like that because I mean, that brand specifically is one that I've liked for years, and so I would, I saw that was a thing. I'm like, oh, that'd be awesome, and it's oh, they're all closed.
Yeah, that's cool. And like I said, it's. I don't want to say it is absolutely the future of entertainment and the future of gaming, but it's a thing. It's here. It's happened before. Happened in the 80s. I mean, the Virtual Boy still exists in this universe. It tried to happen in the 90s and died real quickly, and then 3D tried to happen, and that died very quick. I think that was just impractical.
We've got the Oculus Rift right now, so I know that's kind of a thing. So
yeah.
If we're putting out predictions, my personal prediction is that VR technology is going to it's going to emerge and it's going to solidify. It won't become the only or the main console gaming method, but it will take on more than Kinect did.
That was Kinect is an amazing machine. Poor execution.
Twice. Right. I think at least eventually the execution will be better, but I think it will ultimately be in that same, at least in general, be the same sphere. Or another example would be something like the Rock Bands or whatnot.
Okay, yeah.
So you have some games where it is integrated and it is awesome, but not every game does it. And not every gamer wants those games. I think that's where it's going to go. Just because, as awesome as the potential is, I just think that some of the just realities of how it gets executed are going to be where not everybody's going to want it.
Yeah, and that's true. Not everybody, like, there's 4 individual human beings in the same room. Like, we barely argue about, yes, we're friends, there's not one single subject that all of us are going to agree on. There's not one subject we're all going to disagree on. Everyone in the world, there's 6 billion people in the world.
Yeah.
They all agree on some things, and they all disagree on some things. That's just how human beings were made to be. So, not everyone is going to want... I think the entry cost for the HoloLens is $3,000 for the developer kit. Huh. Yeah, that is.
Want to talk about money to blow?
Yeah, that is a hefty investment. But I think it's kind of exciting, like getting in on the front end. So I don't know. We'll see. What do you got up, G? What do we got? Let's get this money blow section and get out of here. What else you got for you?
I don't know, unless you've got something else.
I mean, I had a couple things if we wanted to talk about, besides like a little fun fact. You guys can cut me off whenever, or just kind of some fun things you might be interested that I've kind of, grown interested in over the years. Kind of looping back a little bit, like, I know you guys had said something about, like, I've mentioned it a couple times, and you've, talking about it as a Kamen Rider. Are you guys familiar with it at all?
No.
Not too much, no.
Okay. I mean, do you want to talk about it, or I can, or you
go ahead.
You can wave off. I mean, I'll try not to like take forever, but it might be something you want to look into. The big problem I found is there's not a lot of like official, even subbed release here in America. I feel like it's an untapped market because, I mean, you were talking about Funimation, like, so they have their own subscription service, right? That's like subbed or dubbed anime. So I mean, I feel like it would be a market similar to that. I don't know if dubs would come out just because it's a little more obvious when a physical, like actual live action physical human being is talking and it's not matching up. We can go back to the old kung fu movies.
Yes.
There's no video camera, so I can't really do it here. But people make fun of it. You move your lips and then say something else. Total mismatch. But like subtitles, I think there's certainly potential. I mean, it's not like it's foreign to America. Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. That had subtitles. So it's,
and it did phenomenally well in theaters.
Yeah, it did.
One of the highest, I think it's honestly one of the highest rated and like most awarded like Chinese films in American history.
I can believe it.
It won. It just did well. It did well everywhere.
It won stuff.
A lot. There you
go. So, I mean, this is going to be more niche than that. This is not, we're not talking like Academy Award level stuff here, but like for the fans of anime, I think just the genre that like Kamen Rider and like Super Sentai, and there's other shows in that genre. We back in the 90s, a lot of them got imported here as like, so we had Power Rangers is the most specific example.
Yeah.
But we had, if anybody here remembers Masked Rider, that was actually a Kamen Rider show. And they tried like one other iteration a few years ago with one of them that did not, it didn't even do a full season. Anybody here remember the Beetleborgs show?
Yep.
Okay, that was another Japanese show, similar thing.
Oh, wait, yeah, I do remember that.
VR Troopers?
Yeah.
That was another Japanese show. It's all in the same genre. It's the... I want to say it's like
I
called
get what you're saying.
Tokatsu or something like that. Technically, Godzilla falls in the same genre, like all the Godzilla movies. All the Japanese Godzilla movies. If you guys are familiar with that, are you shaking your head no, or are you just playing? Or you're just playing with that? Okay. I'm like, if I'm losing it now, we'll cut it off.
No, okay. So for clarification, do you want to explain what Kamen Rider is to the crowd?
Yeah, that's where I was going with
cool.
this. Most people who are listening to this podcast out there have probably watched Power Rangers. It's an American show, been out
20 years.
20 plus years.
20 plus years in the States.
In the States, specifically the brand Power Rangers. Power Rangers is based on a show series called Super Sentai in Japan. Various names to it. Japan, I mean, they do basically that. I mean, Kamen Rider's the same way. They have a season is a fully contained story arc, beginning to end. They'll typically have crossover events between like each season we'll have a crossover with the previous season, and sometimes we'll have something at the very end with the next season's people showing up. Kamen Rider is, I'm trying to think how to explain it. So Super Sentai / Power Rangers is kind of like, like Justice League or the Avengers in some ways. It's a group of heroes working together, and the show is always about the group. Maybe you'll have episodes where it's like two of the team members go off like it's easier to use the the Red Ranger and the Black Ranger will have their own episode, or like the Blue Ranger and the Yellow Ranger will have an episode, or whatever.
Okay. Yeah.
But you've got your team of like between 3 and 6 or 7 heroes for Super Sentai / Power Rangers. Kamen Riders generally have one writer, like one hero character, who will maybe have 1 or 2 others. And so what this ends up playing out is you usually have a little more budget for the costume. So while Power Rangers, Super Sentai is like they have helmets and then basically spandex. You'll have maybe a couple of little fiddly bits on like the gloves or something, and you'll have that one Ranger. So like Tommy, for all the Power Ranger fans out there, Tommy, Green Ranger, White Ranger, and several other colors. The 6th Ranger, as they're commonly called, will maybe have like a chest piece or something like that. That's maybe like foam or plastic. Maybe they'll have a power up that's got a little armor. Kamen Riders usually have armor all the way through. So that Kamen Rider game that I mentioned, the main character is wearing basically samurai armor the whole show. Like that's his costume. He has like a full. I mean, you can kind of tell it's plastic, but it's supposed to be like metal, chest armor, shoulder armor, arm guards, shin guards, helmet, all of it. So there's like a spandex base layer, but there's stuff over it. The other show, one of them that I've watched all the way through, Kamen Rider Wizard, his was a little more. He had like a trench coat, but he still had like a chest plate, shoulder pieces. So the costumes are a little more in depth. There's more layering going on, so they're more interesting looking. And you'll usually only have 1 or 2 other riders, and it's not so much of a team thing as like allies. So I'm trying to think of a good analogy, like an anime or a Western animation that would line up well. So it's instead of like the Avengers or the Justice League, it's maybe like back in the 90s, like the Batman and Superman crossovers where Batman and Superman worked together, but they weren't an official team.
Yeah,
per
Batman
se.
went back to Gotham and Superman went back to Metropolis.
So, something kind of along those lines. Or for a more recent show, Batman the Brave and the Bold.
That's a great one. That's a good example.
Because I feel like that's actually a little stronger because Batman is in it consistently. Other characters show up on a semi-regular basis and help out. And it's less of a, go back to your own city, as they're just kind of working together. Generally, like in the Kamen Rider shows, the secondary writers, they don't like go to another city, but they may even be in most of the episodes after they show up, but it'll be a third of the way into the season before they show up. They're kind of like, in the Power Rangers, they would be like that 6th Ranger.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the Green Ranger or White Ranger showing up.
There was, I think it was the Ninja Storm, where they had the other Blue Ranger and the other Red Ranger, the Blue Rangers. Yeah.
It's something similar to that. Once those guys showed up and became good guys, they were pretty much in every episode, but they didn't show up from the beginning. Yeah, so that's actually a really good example.
That was the example that came to my mind. Yeah.
When I first, that one, that's actually a good example because that show, you had 3 Rangers from the start instead of 5. And then you got 2 more, and then you got 1 more. So, same thing there.
Cam was my favorite.
The Green
Samurai.
The Green Ranger.
Green Samurai.
More budget for costumes. I feel like there's maybe a little more budget for the villain costumes too sometimes. It's a lot like Power Rangers Sentai. You have a monster of the week. You have the mook critters that are a bajillion of them, and at first maybe he has to transform to fight him. Eventually he can just fight. He can just punch him to death with untransformed hands. He's just awesome like that. Generally, it's a lot of them have kind of the theme of using the enemy's power against them. So like I know with Power Rangers usually there's a benevolent alien or computer or alien computer or alien bird or whatever that gives them their powers, and those powers were from the beginning made for the purpose of good and light. Kamen Rider, a lot of times it's like, oh, well, I've been half mutated, so we'll go to the government and they'll help me go through a procedure, and now I'm a Kamen Rider instead of a horrible mutant. Or, oh, hey, I stole this experimental device from this horrible evil corporation, and now I'm running around. Actually, a good superhero who'd be a comparison to Kamen Rider as far as just kind of how it works out, Blue Beetle. Jaime Reyes specifically. Like, it's not just spandex, it's armor. I mean, I'm not dissing spandex as a comic look, but he's clearly wearing an actual armor.
Yes.
And it's got gizmos and gadgets. It's insect themed, because pretty much every Kamen Rider has at least a slight insect theme. The eyes on their helmets are always kind of grasshoppery. The first guys were all very obviously kind of insect grasshopper themed. Later on, it's been a lot more varied. But
Animals.
Animals,
To that.
fruit, wizards. I'm serious. Yeah, I can get to that in a second. It at first with the fruit one, I was like, oh, that's ridiculous. But then I watched it and it actually worked. But Jaime Reyes, his beetle, it's the Reach. It's an alien, the big alien conspiracy takes over worlds. They send the scarab things out. They take over people, and those people are basically puppets to help them take over the planet. Well, he takes that, basically hijacks it, turns it for good, and now he's a good guy. Same concept with the Kamen Riders. So, the kind of interesting thing I've noticed the last few years, they've kind of had almost a shop and swap with their powers. There's a lot more going on where they'll swap out, either they'll color change their costume, or they'll swap out parts of the costume, and it gives them a different power set. So, using Power Rangers as an example, going back to the classics, the original Mighty Morphin, they each had a different weapon.
Oh, when you combine them, though.
And you could combine them. Well, what the Kamen Riders will do, instead of 5 Kamen Riders each with a different weapon, nowadays, one Kamen Rider will do something, and something will change, and now he's got a different weapon. So, 3 examples. There's one series called Kamen Rider Forze. I've not watched it all the way through. At some point I might, I don't know, I feel like the tone's a little off, but he can basically add pieces onto each arm and leg. And so, he can add a rocket to an arm, and so he can do a rocket punch.
Oh, that's kind of like... Okay. It kind of reminds me of Destiny a little bit. Because in Destiny, you have, your base powers.
Mm-hmm.
But, if you swap out, a helmet... Okay, so... Insurmountable Skull Fort is announced to me for Titans. And it basically makes your bubble ridiculous.
Okay.
So, you have a bubble, and you have skills you can pick. But, depending on, the helmet you have, your bubble can last longer. Enemies that come inside your bubble go blind. Or people who are in your bubble who are on your team have more armor while they're in the bubble, and they have it extended when they step out of the bubble. Things like that.
Gotcha, yeah.
Sounds a little bit like that.
Yeah, so that guy was kind of like that. And mix and match parts, and he eventually gets, super versions that are basically, I would say, using that would be maybe an armor set that has a special bonus, but it locks in all of the slots. The 2 that I watched were Kamen Rider Wizard, which basically it was dragon and elemental themed. So he had fire, air, water, earth. And they, air was fastest, but not as hard hitting. Fire was kind of balanced. Water was maneuverable, and he could swim. And then earth was slower, but he was strong, and he could shoot out each of these elements. And then eventually he got forms that let him combine them all and whatnot. So that's a big thing. Super forms is really big in the last few years. And then the most recent one is Kamen Rider. Well, actually, it's 2 series ago now. I haven't caught the last couple. Kamen Rider Game is he has a base suit, and then it sounds silly because it's instead of dragons or space parts or animals, it's fruit. It sounds ridiculous, but essentially he gets themed armors that are his base one is an orange, and so he gets a sword that looks like an orange slice. But it's kind of like a samurai armor, and he has 2 swords, so he's got a nice balanced fighting style. He gets a strawberry, and he has throwing knives.
Oh.
He gets a pineapple, and he's got one of those meteor hammers, the big, and it's it's slow, but it's really tough. And there's other characters in the series who have similar powers, and all of them have basically swappable parts. and or swappable armors.
The more you talk about the wizard one, actually, the more you talk about the fruit one, the more I want to watch it.
Well, okay, and that one is like a lot of them have like they start off, oh, it's light, it's fun, you know, oh, there's bad guys, whatever,
Reborn.
and then it just is like dark.
Yeah.
Like Gaim
sounds like Reborn.
Gaim goes from, oh well, yeah, there's monsters, you know, it goes from dance party teams with Pokemon, and then we add in a superhero to the mix because the Pokemon are going wild, to just some dark places. Let me just put it that way. I'll try not to spoil it too much, but it goes some dark places.
That actually sounds.
It's got some like, and it's got some real like mythical, like not just Japanese myth, but like European myth and stuff like that going on in the background, and it just it plays out, and you're just like, wow. Because who was it who made it? It was, I heard something about the guy who made it, and I can't remember, but there's some other series he did that like apparently got really dark. It wasn't the guy who did Neon Genesis Evangelion, but yeah, so it's kind of fun. I've enjoyed the couple that I've watched, and I feel like the other one, a lot of the other ones I've seen are really good, and I really like it because it's got a sense of legacy. Because a lot of times they'll do, almost every year they do a movie where they try to drag in as many of the old ones as possible. There's some big threat, they all have to fight it, and so of course they all break out like their super moves and super forms and whatnot, and it's just like OMG awesome, you know.
The All Red Ranger episode?
Yeah, only better. Japan has actually done that one that was every common writer to that point, or nearly everyone, barring a few like tertiary writers, like the third writer, and every every Super Sentai to that point. And I think they called it like 199 Great Hero Battle because that was how many heroes were in. I mean, it was just like
outrageous.
It was like mind blown. Like any of these crossover movies, they did one during Kamen Rider Games run that had the guy who was the first Kamen Rider, like the actor, come back.
Oh wow!
As the same character. Yeah, it was pretty awesome.
You might have to send us links for all this, though.
I think you'll have to search it out. Like
You say it's a subscription-based service, though, right?
No, it's just you'll have to look around. I don't know what there is out there for it right now. It's out there.
There does. I mean,
but yeah, what I was saying is I wish there was
more one. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, or like DVD
fantastic.
releases with subtitles, something like, because I would love to own these things, you know, instead of just watch them online or whatever. I'd love to own them. You know?
That'd be.
But yeah, it's out there. Yeah.
So they're like 15-minute videos apparently. I found Kamen Rider Wells Part 1. But...
Yeah, so they're 30-minute episodes.
Okay.
So if it's 15 minutes, that would be part 1. So part 1, part 2. That's a good. So Wizard and Gaim are the two I've watched. They're both good. And then connected to that, I was kind of thinking about this. We're talking about Power Rangers and talking about like mood and theme. It's kind of funny, like people think of Power Rangers as like super silly, you know, which I feel is a little bit of a bad rap because the first few years, from the very first, like the first Mighty Morphin series up through like about In Space, we're all connected.
It was a through story. There really was.
And it had some like serious like emotional stuff going on, you know. I mean, yes, it's kids TV. It's not going to get as deep as
They had a Pink Ranger actually die.
I think that was in Lost in Space, but yes.
Yeah, Lost Galaxy. Lost
Galaxy, yeah.
Lost Galaxy.
Not Lost in Space.
Like Pink Ranger literally died.
In one of the Mighty Morphins, I think like Kimberly like had a back injury and so had to leave. I mean, so yeah, there was some serious stuff going on. But so like you get some seasons are really super silly.
We're not going to talk about it. I know you want to talk about it. We're not going to acknowledge it. It does not exist.
I was going to go specifically to about 3 or 4 seasons ago, Power Rangers RPM.
Okay, it's not as bad.
Okay, no.
Talking about Mystic Force.
Oh, no.
That's actually the storyline.
I agree with you.
That's one where I think like execution.
The execution wasn't great,
terrible.
but the storyline actually low-key was actually a lot better than the costumes. The costumes did not help. Don't get me wrong. It did not help at all. The storyline
cell phone.
Like I remember when they were advertising it, I was like, "This sounds awesome."
Oh yeah, like
and
wizards.
And then they never showed the costumes. I was like, man, it's gonna be interesting. I watched the first episode. I cried. I cried. I mean, it was pretty cool. It's like the Red Ranger. I mean, they kind of made it too obvious. Guy on a red shirt rides into town on a bike. His bike breaks down outside of town. He goes into town, finds 3 teenagers at a juice bar. One's wearing a yellow shirt, one's wearing a blue shirt, one's wearing a pink shirt.
Really odd. It's all straight on.
It was too
straightforward.
Yeah, it wasn't just too straightforward. It was just too much. I was just trying to, okay, you already have, like, these characters are established as these characters, and you already know who they're going to be. And this he's a smart guy, because the smart guy, for some reason, always has to wear glasses on a Power Rangers show. That's one thing that they have to fix. Every single smart guy in Power Rangers wears glasses.
That's what I like about this season, RPM.
Ethan was smart, but the Green Ranger was smarter.
The Green Ranger was the gadget.
Yeah.
So RPM breaks that mold.
Okay. It does. RPM's actually pretty good. The storyline, you have to power through, I guess, the look and the execution
and the
of Mystic.
Oh my god,
that's the thing. If you look, there were actually, I felt like that Mystic Fort was actually one of the first Power Ranger series to actually try to pull a double twist in their story. They were actually, I feel like they're one of the first ones that tried to pull a pretty big double twist. It's like, okay, they get you to actually think it's like this, but then all of a sudden there's a reveal, but then it goes back and you're like, well, dang, I guess I was right the first time. But they did it in a way that they actually got you to shift your mindset. So I definitely see why people, and you can't do it.
Mystic Force is not as disliked, I think, among like the Power Ranger fan community. I think the one that's disliked the most is
Overdrive. My god, that was awful.
RPM. Have any of you guys seen?
Yes.
Yeah. RPM.
I've seen it all the way through.
I loved it. It's like, okay, here's basically Terminator.
Yes.
It's Terminator with a dash of like the first episode is basically Mad Max.
We're talking
guy in a car.
Now that I think about it, you're right.
That became so much better now.
I know. Did it not? I mean, it's like, holy crap, this is just like, and I mean, like people are dying in this show. Like as a smaller thing, like the Red Ranger, black dude, you know, not the only one, but like, and he's like the whole team is awesome. The smart guy is the Scottish dude.
Yes.
I think he's my favorite character in that series. Like, I remember the episode where it was like it was the Blue Ranger centric episode, and you know the main villain gal is asking something like, well, the Black Ranger's the broody one, and the Yellow Ranger's this and da-da-da, and she's like to the Blue Ranger, well, what are you? And he's like, I'm Scottish. Like that's his answer. So, I'm Scottish. It's like it's ridiculous, but it works. It's the same episode where they have a guy call out, why are there giant googly anime eyes on our cars?
That's hilarious. Okay.
Like, why is there a 3-story tall column of fire when I transform?
I don't know if you've seen the new one, which is Dino Charge. Okay, in this new one, I haven't seen all of it, but I don't have it pulled up right now. But they actually did something interesting with the villain. Now, I think for the most part, generally with the villain, they usually show up. And usually there's not a whole lot of, like, reason why they do what they do. Now, there were...
Cackle.
Like Rita. She breaks out of this jar, and she's like, I'm going to take over the first planet I see. Earth! And, like, you're like, okay.
She's evil, and she wants to take over the world.
What are we doing? Like, why?
What's her motivation? Like, what's her ethos?
There've been a couple where they've broken the mold, but this new one was actually very interesting, and they actually did more character development, I think, on the villain than in the first few episodes that I saw. Really? I think they felt like I ever did. First of all, you find out he's a bounty hunter. Okay,
the main
villain is a bounty hunter, and he's trying to make money. And then you find out later he has a fiance. Okay.
Oh snap.
He has a fiance, and he's trying to, you know, do all this bounty hunting, get all this money, and then eventually once he's finished his collection in terms of his bounty hunting, he plans to get married to this girl. And I'm like, hold up, wait a minute, what happened?
Somebody write this guy a check.
Power Rangers, are you giving me something different here? You're giving me a little bit of a different vibe, and it's
so Dino Charge. I think I know which. So when they transformed, does music play?
Isn't that every Power Rangers everywhere?
Well, no. Okay, so I asked that because I've seen a little bit of the Sentai series it's based on, and it just makes me shake my head because the thing that sticks out in my mind is they transform, like, instead of a belt buckler or an arm thing, it's like a gun, which, hey, cool, gun morpher or whatever. But I remember they stick their little morpher charge thing in it and, you know, start transforming, and it plays like samba music, and they do a little dance. Yeah, they do a little dance number.
Oh no! Oh,
yeah,
no!
No, they don't do a dance number.
Okay,
No.
No!
It didn't quite work for me, especially because the season before that.
See,
it was
okay,
basically
so
like a
they do
secret
have
government
they do
thing.
have the gun. They
Well,
do
yeah,
have the
they
little
would
piece to
have-
put in the
they would
gun,
have to use
and then they activate
props.
it. But they don't. I don't remember them dancing.
I mean,
I hope not.
admittedly, the actors who are doing it in the Japanese series, like they do a pretty good little number. But yeah, it's just kind of like it just feels out of place because it's like it's like a or I can't even do the tune, but it's like a samba number or something like that. But the series before it was like they were like a government agency or something.
Hang on a second.
In the Japanese one.
Tyler! Better late than never. Look good, Tyler. For a first time. Hey, are you really in there? No more games! I'll destroy all of you!
Dinosaurs.
That's for sure.
A frozen dinosaur.
But whatever it is, it's about to learn who we are.
They're from New Zealand,
Dino Charger, ready!
in case you weren't sure.
Oh, apparently this is the first time they morph.
Thanks.
So yeah, I mean this is just generic background music.
Yeah, but there's no dancing.
That is a
Yeah,
Nerf
the
gun.
music.
It is a Nerf gun.
That is a Nerf gun.
Oh, it's a dinosaur Nerf gun.
That is.
I mean, it's the
that
kind
is
of
a
Nerf.
Nerf gun. It costs $15.99 at Walmart. Buy it aisle 14.
How can we not work in the toys department?
And you can collect all of the individual Power Ranger.
And you too can be a
cells.
Power Ranger.
Yeah, that's. I mean, that's cool. I mean,
I'm pretty sure
seen
that
worse.
is actually a collectible.
There has been worse.
Yeah, the outfits are pretty solid.
Yeah, that's actually not bad.
I mean, I feel like the outfits has generally improved. So in the years, I mean, I feel like they're always improving, for lack of a
They're
better
trying
term, the
to make it
materials
better.
science over there in Japan. Because I mean, this is it's a passion, but it's also an industry for them. So you know, it's one of those things where they're always trying to make their stuff look better.
Yeah.
So, but
All right. I think with that, I mean that we could talk on that topic all
Yeah.
day, and we'll
The only
have
other-
to say that for another segment.
yeah, the only other thing I had was just a little fun little fact, but we can either do that now or we can do that after Monday to Blow. So it's up to you.
We can get that. What's the fun fact? Let's go. Let's
it's
go.
that
with
fun Batman fact.
Yes. Let's go now.
So, fun Batman fact. This one's not like super quirky, but it's like so. Usually, when people see Batman, you'll see created by Bob Kane, who was one of the creators, but actually the other guy that really needs more credit, and he's just now starting to get it, is Bill Finger. A lot of the stuff that we see with Batman, like the fact that he has the cowl with the ears, Robin, or at least a lot of the stuff about Robin, his Bruce Wayne secret identity, him being a detective, stuff with the Joker, a lot of that, Bill Finger. And it's kind of one of those quirks of comic book history or whatever that he hasn't gotten a lot of the credit that was due him. I mean, really, you know, I really didn't even know about this guy until the last year-ish or so, but really looking at it, it's like, you know, Superman is always advertises created by, Siegel and Schuster, Jerry Siegel and Joe Schuster. He's two creators credited to Superman. That's pretty universal. Batman, two guys, Bob Kane, Bill Finger. So, kind of a fun thing.
That is
So
interesting. I didn't know
his
that.
name
Do
is
more research into that.
his name is being added to credits for the upcoming movie. It's been added to, I think, Arkham Knight's credits, and they're starting to add it in the comics, their animated stuff. Basically, they're starting to put it in. I think there was a lawsuit involved, as unfortunately there often is with these things, but his name is being added on to credits alongside Bob Kane's, where it belongs. So,
That's awesome.
Very nice.
Good for him.
but yeah,
Very
I
Good
think
job,
they're-
Bill Finger.
Yeah, he passed away back in the 70s, but
R.I.P. Mr. Bill Finger. R.I.P. Mr. Finger. But hey, you created my favorite superhero, so shots to you. I'm gonna go do some more research. Honor his memory. All right, let's get into this Money Blow segment and get up out of here.
Call Call me what you want, but you can't call me broke. Money. Pull up with that chopper and a telescope.
You, sir, are the guest. You get to launch it off.
That would be kind of boring. I haven't really blown money, so.
Yeah, it's been it's been the struggle. Holiday season around the corner. I got both Benji and James headsets. I really didn't pay anything for them, but I'll throw it in there. Things I am excited for. It's the ultimate Wasteland Survival Guide. It is the ultimate version of the collector's version of the did I say Star Wars? I mean Fallout strategy guide. It is 100. No. It's like 300 pages of just awesomeness. Like I said, I put on back order a bazillion and a half pop figures. So all my money to blow this week went into Fallout and something for someone special in my life that I can't say because she might be listening, she might not be. But nobody, nothing like that. But it's a present. Holidays are around the corner, so I got somebody a present and
Don't want to spoil it.
So if you are listening, you're just gonna have to wait.
I paid a phone bill and bought some pizza.
I did that. I actually finally got a phone fixed.
No, because, I went to work and I was trying to post on Snapchat, but it was, no internet connection, tap to retry. So I was tapping this thing, bruh. So, and then I tried to send a message later, and it's you can't send, it's bill has been paid. So I was like, all right, I'm going to do somebody solid.
Coming in clutch. It's been a little bit of struggle.
And then I bought 2 large pizzas from Pizza Hut for half off, and me and G killed half of a large pizza each.
Yeah, I actually did do something pretty exciting. I went to the Currency concert. So Currency, Spitta, as he's known, is a New Orleans rapper, aligned with people like Wiz Khalifa, Snoop Dogg. He actually used to be signed to Young Money, but he left. Yeah, he was signed to Young Money, and he did one song with Lil Wayne that was super popular, and then he was just like, you guys are weird, I'm out, and he's doing very well for himself. So I went to the Currency concert. It's $25, kind of a high entry fee. That's $25 I've ever spent. Second best concert I've ever been to, besides Watch the Throne. And those are literally my 2 favorite artists of all time in one. So I don't think anything will ever top that, but it was better than J. Cole, which was amazing. And, okay, it wasn't like J. Cole's, 2014 Forest Hills Drive album. This was Born Sinner concert.
Okay.
Which had Wale as the opener. And you know how much I like Wale.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, so this top seeing Kendrick. And I'm honestly not the biggest Currency fan in the world. This was an amazing concert. So I did that. I bought my friend Dom. Shout out to him. It's his birthday in a couple weeks, so I got him a Currency shirt. He is a big Currency fan. Bought him a shirt. My friend Sean had a daughter, Amora, and I am the godfather. So I got to see her this weekend, so I bought her some stuff. So next time I see her, I go give my daughter some pretty little things. But yeah, spent a lot of money on everybody else's.
So
week.
You're a godfather now?
I am triple godfather.
At some point, you have to make sure to give somebody an offer they can't refuse.
I'm waiting for the day. I'm just waiting to use that. I'm waiting. Yeah. We have a friend Hugo, and I think both me and you are technically godfathers to their sons.
Something like that.
Yeah,
I'd imagine.
It was unofficial, official. It was just you want to be the godfather? I was like, yeah, sure. Yeah, type thing.
Mm-hmm.
So, same thing happened to you?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, so, yeah. I spent some money on my god kids. Other than that, I think Alright, so this is the coolest part. Currency signed my favorite pairs of shoes. So I have the Nike SB De La Souls. They're the high tops. They're probably my favorite sneaker. Currency is a huge sneakerhead. And the fact that someone I respect in that niche corner of the world that I am into, sneakers, he's probably one of the most well-known names among rappers. He has one of the biggest collections. And it's not just numbers wise, but the kinds of shoes he has, the limited Ray Allen pairs he has, the original 1991 Jordans he has. He has a pair of OG Jordan 11s. Yeah, he has a pair of those, and he has a car to match it too. That's one of my favorite videos at every time. He has a car that came out the same year, the same month, that the Jordan 11s came in. Yeah. So he signed them. So I'm gonna go put those shoes up forever. They're never coming out of that box. Yeah. That was
Unless they go in a display case.
Yeah, unless they go into the display case. So that was one of the favorite things about the concert for me.
And I mean, he didn't like charge you to do the autograph.
No, he was almost like hesitant. He was like, "Bro, are you sure you want me to sign this?" I was like, "Yes." He was like, "Are you sure, dude?" I was like, "Yeah." And he was like, "Dude, you're awesome." And he signed it, and I was like,
I mean, you said $25. I feel like that's actually a really good deal for a concert. I mean, for a guy, you weren't in the nosebleeds or anything, were you?
I was 3 feet. I was 3 rows behind, like, front stage, yeah.
That's like a great deal as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, I mean, it was Granada. It's a college town. It was packed tight. The place was packed. Like sardines.
$5 to go see Lindsey Sterling.
I'm trying to spend some money to go see JB.
I might have to go see Justu.
Oh, those tickets are out already. I thought it was the 20th, right?
Oh, sucks. Well, sucks for you. Anyway, I think I bought one game. I'm not sure. No, I checked out a game. I didn't buy it. I might make a decision to buy it or not. Play Stars Battlefront. It's fantastic. It's a good game. Play it. Anyway,
mine hasn't really been too much. Doctor's visits. That's about it.
Yeah.
That's about
Well,
it.
Yeah,
I mean,
actually,
yeah.
had to. Yeah. So more money on doctors than I like to admit. But yeah.
Somebody's got to keep the healthcare industry rolling.
Facts. As always, we are Even More About Nothing. John, it is more than a pleasure. We appreciate you. Thank you for all your support. Thank you for coming on.
I like supporting the podcast because I think it's an awesome podcast. I like coming on the podcast because I think it's an awesome podcast. And I think, to both those, I think you guys are awesome guys. So I don't see why I wouldn't support this and enjoy coming on. So it's always a pleasure and an honor for me to come on here.
Thanks, we appreciate it so much.
So
My name is Mookie. You can find me on Xbox Live at Mookie833, PlayStation, The Real Mookie833. It's actually kind of growing on me, but I want my LG name tag back. So Shu Yoshida, if you're listening, which you're not, but if you ever do listen to these old episodes, allow us to change our names. Hashtag Colin was right. I am back on the interwebs. My Facebook is up, internet's up, so I'm about to be snapping like it's real out here. Snapchat game on point, Twitter game on point. We out here.
Alright, you guys know what it is. I'm on Snapchat, Instagram, and Twitter at Timmy Tunga. So yeah, go follow me. And if you do want to get this work on Black Ops 3, I'm on PS4, PSN Network, KC Timmy 11, all lowercase. So get this work.
You can find me on Twitter at BlackRafiki30, Snapchat BlackRafiki30, Instagram BlackRafiki, and it's also BlackRafiki on PlayStation Network. You can follow the podcast at Even More About Nothing on the Facebook page. Go and like the page. You can email us at evenmoreaboutnothing@gmail.com. John, any final words?
as I said, it's always a pleasure. It's fun stirring you guys up. And I look forward to coming on again, perhaps in episode 15. We shall see.
Yes,
We shall see.
We'll figure that out. If not, I feel like multiples of 5 is a good thing you got going here.
It's a good predictor. It's a good pace.
Yeah. I wonder if he's coming on that 5th episode. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, and so we're gonna stick with so episode 0 exists in the thing, but this is episode 10, so people don't get confused. People are like, are you on here? This is episode 10. Numerically, in the timeline, it's the 11th episode, but this is episode 10. As far as numbering goes, from here on forward, this is episode 10. So we made it, guys. We made it. Other than that,
People, we made it.
I'm going to bed. You guys have a good night.
All right, deuces.
Headed for a crash, baby. Hey, Titanic, tell me why panic if it's the Titanic? We know we're going down.